Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. Great to have you here. Hello, Maverick family and new viewers, wherever you may be around the world. Last night, we had Ian on, Dragon, the Rising Dragon, talking about all things pop culture and media related. We got into some discussions ranging from Marilyn Manson to Clavicular, one of these new a new generation of live streamers and media personalities, and we're going to expand on that conversation tonight because overnight there were new developments in the Clavicular soap opera online with some young ladies and another very prominent live streamer who shall for the moment remain nameless. This person's identity shall be revealed when we return on the other side of this with other top news stories of the day as well. Stay with us.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's get into it and bring Ian back in for an encore performance tonight. Welcome back, sir. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine. 5 by 5.
5 by oh, okay. There's a saying. What does 5 by 5 mean?
Well, I know that in the army, 5 by 5 means everything's fine. Everything comes perfect. So there's no interference between us.
Okay.
But I don't know the behind the 5 by 5. There's a thing, although. Do you know when they do a countdown from 10 to 0, they don't say 5 in the countdown. They they pass from 6 to 4 and leave like a second between the two. Did you know that? That's
Okay.
because 5 can be, if you have interference, it can be taken for fire. So you could fire before, and
Really?
it's
Is this
true. Yeah,
true?
yeah. It's because you don't want to be being messed up with fire or 5
So
and
does this
have that
apply?
confusion.
I didn't know I didn't know this. I don't ever recall hearing it that way. Is this something that applies to a military scenario where you're firing a rocket like a missile, but would it also apply when they're counting down a NASA rocket to blast
Demolition and those kind of thing. Yeah, in
demolition?
in
Okay.
most of the countdown where there's dangerous things that might happens, or misfire,
Yeah.
as you put, you don't want to pronounce 5 because of that. You don't want to create confusion. So
I didn't know that. Are
now
you sure? Are you 100% sure?
I'll ask Gruck to make
Okay,
sure
ask
that
Grok.
I'm not
Well, you do
mistaken.
that. I'm just going to comment on your saying because tonight
Hey,
we're
I
going to
got a
touch on
question for you.
more of the
Nothing
current.
about what we're about to talk about. So in the army, they
Yeah.
say, when you do a countdown, they don't say the number 5 because you don't want to misfire or be confused with the word fire. Is that right? It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. I don't know if they do that when they launch a rocket to the moon or to go into orbit, though, do they? Ask Grok if NASA follows that protocol for the launching of rockets into space.
Because when you're stressed on the battlefield, if in the whole commotion,
I would be
if I
stressed on the
say
battlefield. Yeah.
if I say fifth
Yeah.
or fifth, the first thing that you think is fire. So you don't pronounce 5 because it's the same two syllable. When you start the word fire or 5, it's
It sounds like a
the
scenario
same thing.
for a skit on Gilligan's Island, Frank, or something like it's just which shows my age, which also brings me back to what I was going to just comment on. You used this 5 by 5 phrase, and tonight we're going to touch on some of the newest lingo that is out there, um, circulating online and being used by a whole new generation of young people, a generation of young people talking about my generation. And this generation is pretty messed up, man. That's why tonight's thumbnail. Did you notice what the thumbnail was for tonight?
Yeah, I did actually. It was funny.
Get
Well,
it says, "Gag me with a spoon." Did you notice that?
yeah,
Do you know
and
why? Do you know why I picked that?
well, it sounds like gag me with a spoon makes me
Do you
probably
remember?
think of porns or whatever. But
No,
tell me,
no, 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 no,
maybe
no.
my brain is too
Oh,
corny because of yesterday.
you're straight into the gutter. That's where my rising dragon goes instantly into the porno gutter. No, don't you remember from the 80s some of those old cliched phrases? There was gag me with a spoon, which was like, oh, that's just so gross and awful. Right? Gag me with
Oh,
okay. That's where that came from. And then there was another one. Um, Uh, yeah, I'm getting a message here. 5 by 5 is a radio communications term, meaning a signal that has excellent strength and perfect clarity. Loud and clear. Yeah, so there you go. There was also, though, in the 80s, Grody to the max. Do you remember that?
I heard that.
Grody, Grody to the max,
Meaning it's too cool.
meaning it's like just disgusting. It's like
Ugh.
maximum grossness. It's like grody to the max. You find a pizza that you've left in the refrigerator for 3 months, and it has strange things growing on it, and you'd pull that, you go, that's grody to the max, man. You could apply it to a lot of things. So these phrases came to mind tonight, especially grody to the max, because of clavicular
Ooh.
and all of the lingo that's being used online by young people today. Strange phrases that I'd never heard of. For instance, looks maxing. See, that's what made me think of grody to the max. Looks maxing. Have you ever heard of that?
Now I know what it is because I made my research, and basically it's maximizing your look, making sure that you look
Yeah.
you look prep.
Yes. Yeah, kind of. And we're going to touch on that. And I'll tell you why, and I'll explain why this actually has been something that has become something of concern for me over the past 48 hours. So there's looks maxing, there's mogging, there's what do they call them? Foids. That's a way to refer to women. Oh, that's a foid, I guess, is a new term.
Okay.
Foid. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
I'd never heard of it until just yesterday or the day before. I'm like, foid, what are they talking about? Do you know what it stands for? Female humanoid. It's supposed to be a pejorative or a negative way to describe a woman, to make her less than human, to describe her as a female humanoid, but she's not really a person. Now it's a way of objectifying a woman through language. Isn't that interesting?
So interesting, and I mean disgusting at the same time. It's grody to the max.
Yeah, then I got to thinking, as an extension of our conversation last night, about how people are all bent out of shape about Bad Bunny singing in Spanish at the Super Bowl halftime show and embracing the idea, well, at least some people, and cheering for, English to be the language of the United States. And then I learned something last night that was, I wasn't aware of it, but I guess back in March, President Trump signed an executive order unilaterally through his unitary executive power and the power of his Sharpie, signing an executive order. He made English the official language of the United States.
And doing by so breaking again the foundation and the separation of power.
Well, but by illustrating for me that isn't really very democratic. People did vote for Trump, but now through a single signature on an issue that I don't think he ever actually campaigned on or told people that he would do this if elected, he's just come in and has made this decision, which is very pleasing to some, and I think to others, maybe not very very palatable. So, especially to maybe Spanish people in Puerto Rico, where Bad Bunny is from. But more than that, I thought, isn't it strange how in America, this is the irony in it all through time, and maybe this is true in other languages as well, the language keeps changing anyway, especially English, and especially in the United States, through pop culture. We get all these weird phrases, sayings, words change, meanings of words change, political discourse shapes the narrative on this stuff and the words themselves. So that when I was, you go back to the 70s, what would be keep on trucking, right? Which carries different meanings. And at times you would get entirely new words created. What would be examples?
Well,
Um,
cool, for example, cool was just a simple word to say that
mhm,
it's cold around kind of thing, right? And then later it becomes like that's groovy, it's cool, it's awesome. It became a adjective later. I think that's one example we can use. I mean, vocabulary has extended to a certain point where, look, even in French, um, there's certain word where, for example, écœurant, which means basically disgusting long time ago, and that's weird. Now, if I say, "Oh, that's freaking amazing," I could say like écœurant in a you know way with my expression that says
mhm.
it's awesome. It's like the contrary of what it's supposed to mean, since I mean, since it was uh, done. So I mean, the word has double meaning nowadays in every sense of the words
Yeah.
and culture as generation passes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it shows that as much as people seem to be all hung up on language or the idea of language, especially English right now, um, they're not very protective of it. They all kinds of like new words created through time. I think meme is a word that has been created. There's bling to describe, flashy things, jewelry, other words repurposed and given um, larger meanings, right? Oh, and then there's the classic one from the 1960s, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I don't, is
I'm
that
not
an is
gonna
that
try.
not an assault on the English language?
Uh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that
So,
anticonstitutionally is like the longest word in French.
anti-constit what?
Anticonstitutionally.
Anti-constitutionally. What is that?
That's the longest word in French. Anticonstitutionnellement is pronounced in French, and it's the longest word. It has 26 word
Is
letter.
this is that a word that gets my mouth washed out with soap if I say it in English?
It's politics. It just means that it's a decision that is against the
Mhm.
Constitution.
Oh, okay. Unconstitutional.
That's it. But for us, it's 26 letter to
For you,
pronounce.
it's unconstitutional, but for you, it's anti-constitutionality or something. I don't know, man. It's like a different word. You're the one making it. It's all you people in Quebec who are destroying the English language. But it's okay. I forgive you.
I'm
Yeah,
just a simple French guy from Quebec.
that's why I asked you to come back tonight because um, I need your help as we destroy our culture.
Or help the US to
we
do so.
See, we all sit around and complain about our culture being destroyed while we just annihilated ourselves with our own bad cultural behavior through pop culture and shows like remember remember the the uh the Welcome Back Cotter TV show. Do you remember that show? Did you watch that one?
Rings a bell.
They had this the kids of the show were called the Sweat Hogs. The Sweat Hogs. Oh my God. It's like, I think back, I didn't realize how funny that was until just now. Well, who are you guys? We're the Sweat Hogs. What okay, that's funny. And then there was the phrase that came out of that show, up your nose with a rubber hose. Do you remember that?
No, that one
No?
is out of my culture.
The Sweat Hogs. The
Oh,
sweat.
jeez.
Oh, that is funny. It's like, oh, this is another thing from like the 70s when I was a kid. No one would know this unless you lived in my neighborhood, but there was a place in the mall in London, Ontario, it was a hair boutique, right? You could go there from a unisex hair boutique, and do you know what they call the name of the place was? And they had radio commercials and everything. It's the Headhunters.
Oh,
It was that's it was true story, and yes, it's true. And now today, if you did that today, you'd probably be arrested for being a racist. And they had when you went in there, all the decorations. It was like a jungle, and they had jungle plants and they called the place Headhunters. And I thought this is the most dangerous place ever to have your hair cut. You'd walk in there, you might lose your head. If you might come out headless. It's like,
oh my God.
maybe boiled in a pot of water or eaten by the cannibals. I don't know what, what I
Now I'm
just
getting
thought of
this
that. I
vibe.
just remembered that. Oh, and they had radio commercials on AM radio, the top 40, the hits radio station on London. I think it was a CJBK radio at the time, and you could go to the mall and get these. Everybody was collecting these stupid things. They were just small printed, folded pieces of paper, and they had the top 40 songs of the week with the logo of the radio station. And all the kids would run over to the record stores. There were two record stores in the mall, and they both had them, but you could get them for free with the list of all the top hit songs, and they're not worth anything. But it's strange the things that people collect. We would collect these stupid things. I didn't really collect them, but some of my friends had stacks of these things. They'd get a new one every week, and they'd go over to into the shopping mall just to get these free song lists of what the top songs of the week were. And if I remember right, the top 10 were listed on the front, and you'd open them up and they'd have the other top 40 songs inside or whatever. I think they put an ad for a local business in there. Probably Headhunters had a few in there too. And the radio spots, they had they had jungle music and everything in them. It was just such a cliche. But they were successful for a while. But I thought I'm never getting my hair cut at Headhunters. It sounds way too dangerous. It sounds lethal to me. What do they use? Like giant machetes or something to cut your hair?
Well, look, some people now use flamethrowers.
Hmm. It's true. I've seen that online where they burn the hair. Like, I'm not doing that. What happens if the hair catches on fire? You could kill somebody.
Yep.
Doesn't that seem dangerous to you? That seems really,
Uh,
really dumb. I
and
can't.
I mean, you got some oil, like I mean, there's natural oil on your hair that actually, when that burns, it goes woof. So
Okay,
I mean, you don't want that to happen.
no, you don't. And if it was back in the 50s, or maybe even if you're an old dude like me, and maybe I don't really use it much these days, but if you put some Brill cream or some of that Score hair gel in your head, I'm pretty sure they just made that stuff out of motor oil anyway. You'd probably have a smoking scalp by the time you walked out. Oh my God.
Yeah, you were not the kind of guy who wear your hair to the middle of your back and having that kind of thing
Well,
without going on flame.
well, back then, everybody had longer hair. I certainly had. What do they call it? A mullet or whatever, with and the feathered hair at the front, like John Travolta.
Actually, if I do remember well, mullet actually is long hair on top, and
Yeah,
just beneath the ears, it's basically shaved.
that's a mohawk, isn't it?
No, no, the mohawk is just one little thread here.
I
If you
don't
go
know.
for the mullet, basically it's just the line here. On top of this line, you keep your
Yeah.
hair long. So basically, you can have like a top. a ponytail at the back, but on bottom of that, it's all shave around the ears
Okay.
to the back of the head.
Oh
So
man. Oh well, we're talking about all of this because of this. Really, it's about this clavicular kid. I call him a kid. I guess he's sort of an adult.
he's 20, so I mean, he's
Is
still a
he?
kid.
Look him up on online there, uh, Ian, and get some background on this guy because I know some information on him, but not everything. I know, for instance, that this guy is engaged in some pretty weird stuff. Originally, he had like I think bad acne to the point where his whole face was all like bleeding and shit. I'm sorry, excuse my language. Um, anyway, and then he got into this looks maxing thing to make himself look like Adonis or whatever, and he's been involved in some pretty nasty stuff. I guess he ran somebody over with a cyber truck. He he as part of his looks maxing, which is a new thing that I wasn't aware of until 48 hours ago.
Hmm.
He uses crystal meth to keep his body fat count down below like 7 or 8%, 6%. So he's always cut and
Uh-huh.
looks like he's muscular, but I'm certain that can't be healthy. So just see what you can find there on Wikipedia and help us out.
Actually, Grok already had me cover on this one. Clavicular, real name Braden Peter, born
Uh-huh.
on December 17, 2005, 20 right now. And basically, what he is a wild Gen Z streamer, and he's all about look maxing. And that's the obsession of the time right now because he thinks that um, steroids and just surgery like bone smashing is good for you and stuff like that if you want to be, the nice guy and have a lot of ladies around. Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically promoting the mental condition of a higher standard of being for a society, which
Here, I'll
is
show you.
completely
Yeah.
stupid.
It is. This is going to tie into some other stuff we're going to talk about tonight. Um, here are some before and after pictures that I guess he recently released of himself. So look, you look there. See, this is this young guy. There's his face. What is that? I guess that's what acne or something, like
Um,
scars and
it,
scabs all
it
over his
could
face.
be,
Or is that
but
from him doing bone smashing?
probably. Actually, I would say that I'm not saying that that's what he did because I don't know. I don't have any facts, but I know people also back in the days that were using certain drugs that had face with acne that looks like that because of how much your um, body react to the drug. So, is that a drug issue or is that an natural acne issue? I don't know, but
Well, eh, I find this stuff honestly disturbing on many levels. Which at first it was just washing over me. I just thought it was young people doing what young people do, which is to do crazy things when you're young, right? Because you're young and you feel like you've got all the time in the world, which I guess in a way you do, but you don't because time catches up with all of us. Because I'm still 20 in my head, and
you
but
too,
I'm not, as you can clearly see.
you
My
too, you
my
feel like
looks
20.
minimizing. so uh, so he just released those photos recently. Here's an article on this guy
You know
on
what?
Unilad Tech. Yeah, go ahead.
I know where your mind is and
No, you don't.
why. Hold
It's not
on,
pop.
hold on. Not that kind of mind, okay? I know why
Uh,
there's something like, I would say, a form of disconnection with that moment and the time that we lived on when we were kids And I'm sure you would have gave me the same advice if you would have known me back then when I was a kid. Stay yourself. Don't become something else for somebody else. Stay on your course, kind of thing. Always stay yourself. That was one of the advice everybody
Mm,
gave you. And what
yes,
is
yes.
the advice that people give you today? You can be anything you want. You can be a cat, Rick, if you want to. So, what's the difference between the two?
We're going to get into that because you know who the secret celebrity is that met with Clavicular? I think overnight, actually, that I kept as a secret, which people may know already because it's been going viral online. It's it's Andrew Tate met with Clavicular, and there's just so much to say about this because it's a sign of our times and the state of media. There's so much going on with this that I wish wasn't going on, honestly, but it is. And so there's so much to comment on. That's why I wanted to extend the conversation we had because it is, while it may seem very superficial, it is not. It is one of the most important things going on in our society today. And I'll highlight that for you because you touched on something which was you have to be true to yourself. You have to say what just say what you mean what you say. And then that's it. I want to talk about standards tonight. Okay. And in reality, this is actually a piece of advice that Andrew Tate gave Clavicular overnight. But I put it to you, sir, that that is not adequate and that in itself results in a deterioration of standards when applied on its own, or when that becomes the paramount concern, because that in itself is nihilistic, it is narcissistic, and we'll get into that in just a moment because I've got that clip with Andrew Tate queued up. But I want to show you this, which is this article from what is it, Unilad Tech. Controversial streamer reveals what he looked like before bone smashing for look smashing. This is a disturbing trend. Bone smashing? This is where you break the bones in your face with a hammer, or so we're told, in order to have them grow back stronger and in certain shapes so you can move them around, I guess, to get a particular look. It is also, I'll tell you this, I don't suggest anybody do this. I think it is absolutely unproven. It may be complete bunk. It probably is. This is like do it yourself plastic or cosmetic surgery, I would say, and very dangerous. Okay. If this is what it takes to be an alpha male today, count me out. I'm not into this. I'm going to smash my face with a hammer to make myself look like Clavicular. Bullshit.
I prefer to be a Sigma male at this point.
So posting on Instagram, controversial streamer Braden Peters, aka Clavicular. Do you know why he uses the name Clavicular?
Those are the bone, the clavicular.
Yeah, the clavicle. And so it's about creating this perfect, in his view, perfect look. Sort of, he's obsessed with his facial,
the mugshot
feature, right? And everything sort of from the shoulders up to make himself, to beautify himself. It's very self-centric. And I would not say either physically or psychologically healthy. So anyway, I am clavicular. It sounds very Greek to me. Very, dare I say it, white supremacist in its origins. And I'll get into that too.
Extremely narcissistic.
Oh my God, yes. Here he posted before and after pictures and after his look looks maxing, which is a new term, an aberration, an assault on the English language again, which, it's okay. It's being, integrated into our pop culture. Peters is controversial due to his looks maxing content, discussions surrounding the use of anabolic steroids, not healthy, and selling access to a looks maxing course known as the clavicular system. Well, yeah, because you got to get your grift in, right? You got to get your money. So, for those who don't know, looks maxing is a divisive method of boosting your own physical attractiveness, with the term first appearing on incel messaging boards as far back as 2010, which shows how far out of the loop I am because I am old and I'm just now trying to catch up and keep myself relevant in the social media sphere. Any thoughts?
I feel the same. I'm not as old as you, but I think there's a generational gap between me and this guy for sure.
It's made a resurgence more recently on platforms like TikTok, with the simple method of soft maxing using common body care routines, evolving into more severe hard maxing methods like getting implants, lengthening surgeries, and edging to theoretically increase testosterone. What does edging? What is edging? I don't know what that means.
I'll ask Brock.
There are more terms appearing by the day, with starve maxing, roid maxing, and bone smashing being some of the most controversial. Over on social media, Clavicular claimed to have taken a hammer to his own face to get an enhanced jawline through bone smashing. Yeah, okay. All right, dude. I want to see you doing that. I don't want to hear you saying you did it. I want the video showing you smashing your face with a hammer on your own with no anesthetic. Although there are fears that easily influenced viewers will undertake bone smashing, it's largely being debunked as misinformation. I would say so. This makes a post like Clavicular's more concerning, especially if someone thinks using a hammer on themselves can achieve the same look. Yeah, no kidding. And then they've got a quote here from a dermatologist expressing concerns about it. I'm concerned about it. I don't want young people smashing themselves in the face with a hammer. Oh my God. Suarez, being the doctor, I think, here, saying that is simply not going to build up stronger bones. Furthermore, this can leave you disfigured, potentially requiring surgeries that cause scarring. Yes. And she says that while she's not necessarily anti-looks maxing, she's not sure when Clavicular's bone smashing took place. Probably never. It's probably all BS to generate clicks, while others in his comments maintain that his face is the result of different surgeries. Man. And this is generating a storm of virality online, as this just it's been taking over the internet, especially for particular demographics, younger viewers, younger consumers of social media over the past weekend. That's why we need to be very careful about this stuff.
You want to know what edging is?
Maybe. I'm not sure. Is it
I
X-rated or what is it?
kind of. You know what? I would suggest you to go look into Grok, make a research on it, ask what is edging into the look maxing context, and about this guy Clavicular, and it will tell you something about. You'll figure out, and you'll be the better judge to tell people what it is.
Does it have something to do with cosmetic enhancement?
No,
Or
it's more about sexuality kind of thing.
I don't know if you're getting the right response from Grok, because I know what the term in a sexual realm means. I know what it means sexually, but I don't think that's what they're referring to in this case. So it's same word, different meaning, new meaning in
maybe
when applied here. Anyway, we'll leave that one alone. For now, I don't want to get into any of that. So
I'm taking that in the garbage.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Uncharted territory.
Oh my. Okay, so yeah, let me see if I can. So here's Clavicular. He got now. I don't know exactly what was going on here. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it to you that Clavicular kind of got upstaged, or I think the correct phrase by today's standards would be mogged by Andrew Tate, which is to say embarrassed, and was too stupid to realize that he got embarrassed with these live streams that he was involved with Andrew Tate overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get into this, okay? Let me see. But first I want to see if I can find you this clip where Clavicular allegedly in this video steals some guy's girlfriend on Valentine's. Because I just what is going on with these young people today? What's that phrase from It's a Wonderful Life? Love is wasted on the youth, which I don't think was directly from the movie. It's a phrase that's been around for a long time. Let me see if I can find the clip.
Yeah,
And here I am giving this even more attention tonight. Yeah, I think it's right here. Okay. I got it. So here's this young lady out on the town, Valentine's, with her main squeeze. Here's Clavicular, the bone smasher. And he steals this girl from her boyfriend, I guess. And the guy and the boyfriend was begging him, please don't do this to me. It's Valentine's.
Is retarded, you know that, right? Come away with me while I get a
I want you guys to guess how far away the cuck is from the
girl. So yeah, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Wow, bro, you can't steal my girl, bro. It's Valentine's Day, bro. You can't steal my girl. Good guy. I know you're a good guy.
Past Valentine's Day was
no,
yesterday.
But like the kindness of your heart, bro. Come on. You're a good guy. I know you're a good guy.
Brother, 18 minutes ago, Valentine's Day ended, so you're gonna have to fuck off.
I'm good. Bro, come on, dude. 1 year, bro.
Why is this guy begging me?
Come on, man.
That's literally the lamest shit ever. Is retarded, you know.
So,
what a beautiful guy.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Okay. Here's the deal. This is from a nice guy, coming from a nice guy. First of all, she ain't worth it. Okay. So leave her at the curb. That's my advice to the young man who lost the girl to Clavicular. And secondly, my advice to Clavicular is you should watch your step there, young man, because somebody's going to come along and smash your fucking bones in your fucking face. Okay. Because you're going to meet your match. You're a little too overconfident, and I probably wouldn't be the one to do it, because if any woman is out with me and does that, then I instantly just don't give a damn. Okay. Because she just isn't worth it. In which case,
I'll be honest.
Adios, lady. Like, you deserve each other at that point. So, but you're going to get, that guy's going to get his face caved in. I predict really, really bad things for Mr. Clavicular in the future.
Oh, me too. And I'll be honest with you, as a nice guy myself, and I'll be crude. A piece of like him should not even exist, because he's a piece of plain and simple. I'll leave it just like that.
And yet, you know, as much as we're sitting here criticizing Clavicular, here's the thing. I I have to say, I think that these young women bear a lot of responsibility here and are embarrassing themselves.
Hmm.
On social media in front of millions of people when they engage in this really bad behavior. I This guy, it's just a show. He's not what you think he is. He's not nearly as cool. Or there's an old word, right? Does that even apply? Right? He probably never smashed himself in the face with a hammer, and he's probably a dork at the end of the day. He's nothing. And he's just all these women are swooning over him because they just I don't know what it is with people there. It's just human nature.
He's
But these
probably not as nerd as us.
he's he's a dick. I you know what else I see in this guy? I see pain. Honestly, in a way, I feel sorry for him. Well, it's at the same time I feel disgust, which is why like gag me with a spoon. This is gross what we are
Totally.
witnessing here, and it is a sign of the times. It is a reflection of the current state of society. It's about body adornment. It is about plastic surgery. It's about drug abuse. It's about using meth to
Transhumanism.
um in a roundabout way, yes, but more than that, if you dig into this, as I have just a little bit since last night, it's eugenics.
Hmm,
This
it is.
is because what he is doing is he is trying to create a cliche of himself in the image of what our society has come to believe would be like the ideal image of an alpha male, both physically and in action through this person's actions. So he's obsessed with how he looks from the neck up, the clavicles up, right, for the perfect portrait. And he's and his body as well. He is out there using says he uses crystal meth, which would be to suppress appetite, to lose weight, to lose body fat, but not in a healthy way. So he ends up really cut. And see, when you lose weight, your muscles begin to kind of pop out, right? That's what bodybuilders do before competitions, is
Hmm.
they starve themselves right before a competition where they go to show, because then their bodies begin to eat up calories and they lose body fat and it's just muscle sort of left, and then you get all the definition around all of the muscles.
Yep.
That's what he's doing by abusing drugs, and he's using steroids, anabolic steroids, to build muscle, which in the end is going to leave him with medical problems much earlier than he probably realizes, heart problems potentially. Like, this is not healthy behavior.
One of the problem by steroids is that you get impotent. By the way, it's one of the thing. So all those ladies gonna have a little wimpy. Sorry, I'll say it
A
this
little
way.
wimpy, a little bit wimpy, eh?
Yeah. So yeah, let's put it this way. Poor guy.
Here's another clip of this same girl with this guy. Uh, I just I am disappointed in humans.
Oh, me too. I've been disappointed for a long time about human and mostly about human
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
What, bro? You can't steal my girl, bro.
It's the same clip. It's an extended clip, but it doesn't matter. We've already seen this one. I don't need to put you through it again. Let's see
Yeah,
what
it's
else we have
painful to
before we get to
see.
the Andrew Tate clip.
You know what is painful from that clip
Uh-huh.
for me? It's the how much people have that attitude of I don't give a damn about whatever. I'm gonna say something. It's gonna hurt you, Rick. I don't give a damn. I'm just gonna say it. It's that attitude that is it's destructible for not only relationship but for your own sake. I mean, if I don't give a damn about anything, what tells you that I give a damn about one life? Does it give me um, the right on somebody's life? It can go to that extent. That's how I see it, and that's unhealthy.
Well, look, I mean, just what this is a reality show,
Hmm.
right? On social media. I remember, what was the movie that came out where, boy, this is probably back in the 90s, where it was about someone whose life was being shown probably at the time on television. Look, I'm gonna look it up.
That
It
that's
was
that's Jim Carrey, if I'm not
yes,
mistaken.
yeah,
Truman Show.
The Truman Show. Yes, and so that was sort of a piece of predictive programming, maybe, but not hard to predict that this was coming. I guess if we knew that the internet was just around the corner. Uh, but that was a look ahead to the way things might be, where everyone was going to be famous for 10 minutes. But in this case, Clavicular is enjoying a ride to the top of social media stardom in an extended way. It's certainly over this weekend, where everything he is doing is being amplified online. And just do a Twitter scroll and look at what's going on here. Like, basically what this is he is being followed around with a camera. He has a crew with him, and everything he's doing is just out there. I noticed that in one clip, he walks into an elevator and he tells the guy with the camera, put the phone down. And so he points the phone down because whatever he was doing, he wanted a moment of semi-privacy. This raises a lot of questions, and it illustrates some things for me as I'm watching this online this weekend. First of all, it's like this guy's not behaving the way a normal person would behave. Everything he is doing is performative. Everything he's doing is an act because he knows he's being video streamed. Therefore, all of his actions are influenced with the knowledge that he is going live online. So it's not entirely natural. The medium becomes the message. The medium influences the message, is what I am saying. The medium becomes part of this whole thing. He is, it becomes an interactive thing, and it's shaping our society in ways that we're not accustomed to, that we're
It's a
that
form
is
of art,
unnatural.
but the most disgusting kind of art.
I don't know if this is art. This is,
Well, art is a
maybe
form
it
of
is.
medium, right? Art is
Yeah,
all
but
about
a medium,
medium and expression.
a medium in itself is not art. It's what you do
No,
with the medium, whether it's
that,
a
that's
form
true.
of artistic expression. In order for it to be art, I think it needs to have some message, some expression behind it. This is real time streaming. Is it performative? Yes. Is it an expression? In a way, I suppose it is, because he's trying to project an image and promote a look. And so, in this way, he's also promoting a brand. I don't know if it's art. I guess there's an element of artistry to it, but this is an experiment in constructing a new society. It is an experiment in social media. It is an experiment in anthropology. It's an experiment in advertising. This guy's promoting a brand, his brand. He is the brand. He's selling himself. He is.
Well, I think he's also promoting narcissism.
Um,
Because narcissism is one of the rare form of mental illness that can be passed on people, like a flu can be given, if you will. Because
it,
if somebody act in that way, and you like or idealize this action and this behavior, you will probably um, repeat and mimic the same behavior. So therefore, you become also narcissistic.
You know what it is, Ian? It's sensationalism. It's clickbait. It is society, us, and the owners of these social media platforms, but also us. We're guilty of this as well. We're rewarding the bad behavior in order to get more of the sensationalism. Or I would even take it a step further. You want to see the freak show. You want to see the car crash. You want to see this guy setting himself up for the fall. You want to see this guy engaging in all these bad behaviors. This guy's famous because he engages in bad behavior. This guy's famous because he treats young women poorly. This guy's famous because he is looks maxing, taking it to the max. And yet it's the strangest thing. It's idolizing, putting someone on a pedestal, idolizing someone like this, and glamorizing their behavior and their look. And then he becomes a model. And he's rewarded because he's been able to make himself look like a cliche, an Adonis, a a very Eurocentric white male, with the cliche supermodel male good looks, like a Ken doll, right? Come
Yeah.
to life. And people are like, that guy's got it all, man. He's got the look. And so people watch that and like, how did he get there? And why does he get all these women? And it becomes a spectacle, just like a car crash at a NASCAR race. And that's what you're going to get at times with this. It's going to be, it's like watching, it's like a spectator sport. It is a spectacle, and he is the center of attention, but it's all about cliches all the way along. And it's about bad behavior because it's this extreme behavior that makes it entertaining. The average person doesn't do this kind of thing. If it was just following someone around, acting like a normal person, like me out walking my dog, who the hell would care? But if I'm smashing my face with a hammer, running people over with a Cybertruck, injecting myself with steroids, picking up women, surrounding myself with all these young ladies, right, acting like a modern day Hugh
Or just being
Hefner.
a prick with everyone that you come across on the street and stream that for the fun of it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so then his behavior is shaped by the environment he has placed himself in, which is this social media environment, social media ecosphere, where everything he is doing is all focused on what can I do to ramp up the performance, to keep the viewers engaged. And so he's not living a normal life. He is literally living in an extension of the Matrix. And Andrew Tate talks about that because Andrew Tate has been living that kind of existence as being one of the first pioneers of social media, blogging, live streaming, becoming a social media personality. And I've said for a long time, Andrew Tate's not real. It's a character. So is Clavicular. That's his name. That's his stage name, his social media name. He's not, what's his name? Braden Peters was his name?
Yeah.
He's
Braden
not that.
Peter.
Yeah, there's two people here. You see, you've got Braden Peters, the real person, and you've got Clavicular, the character that he's playing in social media. But the social media, the reality show, has become his reality. And so he's leaving his real identity back there somewhere. It's tucked away and it's still over there, but he's not living that reality. His truthful existence, his truth, his freedom is actually over there. While he's chasing freedom through social media, he's never going to achieve it because everything he's doing is fake. Do you get it?
Yep.
Every single action he takes in his life right now is about a performance. It's not about being a real person, being truthful to yourself. It's all for the audience. And I don't think gets very much, if any, time for himself, because everything, every aspect of his life is now streamed. He's trapped in a matrix.
Hmm. You know, it reminds me when I started to do the pro-Palestinian protests. You asked me a question at some point, and as an advice, you told me something along the way of careful how you present yourself in the camera, because this is what is going to make me, if you will, as a journalist, or am I going to go in the right direction or not? Right? I mean, it's all about also accuracy and all that. So it's it's all about image, right? It's all a question about image, and that's the image that I need to bring around. So as you ask me, my name as Rising Dragon was sort of a um, stage name, and I said actually it's because I want to keep a form of anonymous, because I don't want the government to be too much on my case, kind of thing, or other people's. So basically it was a form of, I would say, paranoia that is sort of giving me that idea to keep that name. But at the same time, I'm like, you're right, I should not use a stage name, kind of thing, because what I'm doing is not wrong and there's nothing bad about it. It's just the way I present things, and giving
Right.
me a false name like this guy, basically, it's creating a character.
Because here, what I'm trying to do in order
Hmm.
to raise the standard or keep the standard, maybe, is to engage in some form of real journalism, which is why I use my real name. It's not a stage name. It's not a character. I'm not, I see all these other streamers out there who are portraying themselves as or presenting themselves as journalists or credible sources of information on
Sunshine Baby, for
right.
example, or
These are made up names.
hmm
I've never, as a journalist, did I ever, you know, um, come up with like some fake name that I used. I know that some women have, because they're afraid of being stalked by weird people. But real journalists, I think, use real names because we're trying to present reality and get people as close to the truth as we can. What's going on here is a show, and there's a
yeah,
big difference. And that's, I think, honestly, too, this is why a lot of these streamers with these fake stage names, yeah, it's become very clear to me that they're not about truth. They're about spreading a narrative. They're engaged in political marketing. But back to this, where again, Clavicular is talking to some DJ rapper guy who has just lost his girlfriend to the white Adonis.
I know, but what are you saying to me? If you know that's my girl and you go talk to her. No, I'm not talking to her. I'm just moving the chair. No. What's up? I'm not gonna make it a big thing, but you know what you did. I'm not questioning. I already know. Alright, but I just gotta say, but alright, let's not worry about it. Connect on Instagram really quick, so my managers can be happy about it. She can make more money, and trust me. The more time your Instagram, just add me back really quick. Alright, DM me, but it's not gonna. I know.
So this guy is upset because he lost his girl, and now he's like, "Oh no, that's my girl," and you said whatever. And then the guy bends the knee and says, "Well, yeah, but like, so could we do a collab and then you could do a thing on my Instagram to help boost my numbers?" So he is a he is a beta. I guess I would be like, "Hey, Clav, go f yourself." But that's me. That's me.
uh, I mean, if this is the future of social media, and well, I will brace ourselves for our sanity, guys, because we're in for a freak show.
Freak show is the word that, or the phrase that was coming to mind here in a lot of ways. I hate to use that phrase, but working in media as long as I have, I've often looked at what goes on television programs and and in media in general. You go back through time, look at movies, television shows, and there was a time when it would just be like a freak show. You look at Ripley's Believe It or Not, in many respects, what they or the Guinness Book of World Records. A lot of that is like freak show kind of stuff, right? Because it's like um, these are amazing, extreme feats or strange stories involving humans, freaky things, right? Um, and when I was a kid going to the circus, very young, I remember they would have the side shows or the freak shows, they would call them at the circus at the time.
Bearded
The
women.
bearded women, right? Which ties into the whole transgender thing now, right? So that is why in the backs of people's minds, it's so easy to tap into that fear and that I'd say a degree of disgust that has been generated through these cliches of the unknown and the unusual or the different things that people are not familiar with and not comfortable with over time. So now the bearded lady, in quotation marks, has now they're out in the open and they're everywhere. Oh my God! See, now it's a freak show for people. That's the way they view that. Drag, all of these things. And then you overlay religion into this stuff. Yeah, it's this is why people get so jacked up. But in television, those things became sort of taboo subjects because it was then politically incorrect to talk about things that were like a freak show. And even on YouTube now, you can't show or deal with things like that, or you'll get banned, or they'll take that particular video down, right? Even just using the phrase here is maybe a little bit on the edge. But we're having a legitimate discussion about this from from a social aspect. But what I found is mainstream media found ways to work around that over time, because what they would do is they would, instead of presenting them as as a freak show, they would normalize the behavior or normalize what was previously viewed as like weird. Like they'd always have like the fat lady at the sideshow at the circus, but now you have whole TV shows about, well, what, I don't know what the titles are, but there are shows where they show really obese people and they're like sort of reality shows, right? You know the ones I'm talking about?
Yeah, I haven't seen some of them, but I can tell you that I have seen some, publicity on TV that there's some kind of show. I mean, there's a show for everything. The guy who walks the dogs or that trains the dog, to the fat lady and obese people that just share their life kind of thing. But they also share their problems surrounding the thing. So, or
Yeah.
like those show with how you call that, people that has manic, they will turn the doorknobs 10 times before going to do something, those kind of thing.
Yeah, I just looked up a list of the shows. So you've got My 600-Pound Life on TLC. It's launched in 2012. Dangerously Obese on TLC, which premiered last year. 1,000-Pound Sisters on TLC. The Biggest Loser on NBC. Too Large on TLC. 1,000-Pound Friends on TLC. This network focuses very much on the fat lady sideshow by presenting it in a way that is palatable or politically correct in 2026. But still, the content is there because it's weird, it's extreme. That's what people watch. That's the car crash. That's like nobody's like that around here. That's weird. I'll watch that because you can't turn away from the car crash. That's what's going on, man. And Clavicular,
Is
is
a car crash on itself.
the car crash coming. That's what it is. And I think in this case, it's also maybe a sign that it's society as a whole about to crash on many
Uh,
many.
Society is on the decline, I believe.
Well, this is
Just be,
yeah.
it's a proof of the decline of the society as a whole, I think.
It because this rewards bad behavior. This guy's driving around in, um, an expensive Sprinter SUV van thing, right? Picking up women. He's making lots of money. He's being rewarded on through social media platforms for all the views he's generating. All the other streamers right now want to get near him so they can collaborate with him to get clicks from him. They want him on their program because he'll help build their channels, right? And here's the thing, Ian. Here's the thing. None of this is accidental, and I guarantee you, none of this is organic at all. This is all being controlled by the social media giants. On X, the algorithm is controlled by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is making money off this. These social media platform owners, like whoever owns Kick, they're making a ton of money off this kid because they're pushing him to the top all the time. And because I clicked on a couple of these videos with Clavicular, now I'm just flooded with Clavicular content. It hasn't stopped. It's just a constant flow of that stuff now. Now I'm caught in the clavicular echo chamber. Me and
Yep.
millions and millions and millions of other young people. Now I'm in their reality bubble. And none of it's accidental. None of it's organic. This is being fed to us. Not only are we rewarding it by
Mhm.
watching it and even, I think, in some cases, donating to it, social media is amplifying it, making it seem bigger than it really is. And in the course of doing that, influencing our society, shaping our society. The medium is not just the message now, the medium is becoming a shaper of our society itself. And it's not healthy because it's promoting cliched looks, it is promoting drug use, it's promoting bone smashing.
Oh,
And
it's promoting also how you should look. I mean, not only that, but the how you call that the how you being pursued by people. You want to be on your best and all that, and you want to like remember when we were kid, okay?
Mhm.
Women and probably back in the days, ladies were probably been told, a good husband would have a good job about that, that amount of um, earning with the three credit card all maxed up kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And by standard today, this is not a standard anymore. That standard is overrated. Now the standard is over that. So the social standard has completely changed, and that's also the problem.
Yes. And so this young lady, Brett Cooper, married, influencer, right? Went to New York Fashion Week. She'd been online critical of Clavicular, but then went backstage to meet Clavicular after his New York Fashion Week walk, where he was rewarded again with an opportunity to appear as a model during New York Fashion Week, and she was appeared to be somewhat starstruck, frankly. Here's an X feed, and they're making a big deal out of her look and smiling at this guy Brett Cooper.
She
And
felt
this is the
for
other
him.
thing talking. But well, that's the allegation, right? So here's Brett Cooper, this young lady who is also an online social media star, at least for the moment, enjoying her 10 minutes or 10 weeks or maybe 10 years of fame. I don't know how long it will go on for her, but she has quite a large following of her own. And this is her responding to all of this.
Clavicular was very much the most viral moment of the night. And so because he was there and because I was in attendance, there is now all of this discourse on X, I would say, about me being there and watching while he walked and meeting him. And God forbid, this is the worst, God forbid, I'm so sorry that I did this, but I smiled at him. Oh my God, cue the meltdowns, guys. They are freaking out over on X. And what I need to say to that is, oh my God, people go touch grass. Like seriously, kick rocks, touch grass, log off, go speak to a woman in real life. Go outside and stare at the sunshine. Like, I cannot believe that this is something that is being debated and argued about. Now, first of all, for those individuals, if you want the full story, I did not even know that Clavicular was going to be walking in the show when I was first invited and agreed to go. I actually didn't think that he was gonna make it after all, because he was literally just in jail in Arizona. But yes, he ended up walking, and obviously I was going to take the opportunity to meet him. After making content about him and after weeks of mocking him and saying that I thought he was just like a shell of a person who had no values, like, I thought the respectful, the good thing to do would obviously be to go say hi in person and meet him and not be an actual asshole in real life, because I am not an asshole. But unfortunately, because every part of his life is streamed to people online, smiling and being nice means that you are a hoe who hates her husband and hates her family. So that's the discourse online. Again, I will say, go touch grass.
Go touch grass.
See, that's the thing. And that I live that most of the time. I mean, in a social, place, and we're not even on social media. You do something good for someone, you'll have some people asking you why you're such an idiot or whatever, gonna insult you and call you a whatever. But if you are a piece of crap, well, I'm sorry, but you get abdulated by everyone, and you're the master of the universe. You're the best guy in the world. Yeah, that's the society we see.
It's interesting. I'd never heard that phrase before. Go touch grass.
I've heard it once or twice, actually.
You know what? Her and I might get along very well, because I'm always telling everybody to go and touch a tree. I say, go touch a tree. Just go outside and touch a tree. Get off the internet. Get out of the matrix. Yep. That's really what she's saying there.
I'm gonna go walk Cosmo and touch a tree.
That's right. It's just very much the same message. So her and I might be on a similar wavelength there. Who knows? Maybe our paths will cross at some point. It's a small matrix.
It is. The world has become even smaller because of internet. Because now we used to say that you just only really know the people in your village, kind of thing. But now the village has become the world, because everyone know someone.
Yeah. So now let's go to the Andrew Tate clip. Okay. Let me see. First of all, maybe they went to a gym and they were working out. Okay. Here we go. Let's go to this one first. I think it's right there. Yeah. Let's bring it up full screen. So first of all, they go to this gym, and I'm gonna put it to you that Clavicular was upstaged, and I think the word is mogged. In other words, Tate makes this kid look like a wimp.
I'm cooked. I just have no energy, no stamina. I get tired after doing a couple reps on bench. Like
I guess the thing is, he could only bench press like 135 pounds. And and so I guess Andrew Tate was making fun of him to some degree.
I'm curious to see how many reps he does, because if he doesn't pass the number of reps I can do with 135, I'm gonna laugh my ass off.
Let's see what other clips we have. Let's just go through this X scroll and we'll see what we get.
Oh.
I heard we're training.
I heard that too.
Training, you good?
Not exactly dressed for the.
Nah, I'm not.
Olivia,
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice
to meet you. You can't be frame mogged.
I know.
You can't
I
be
know.
frame mogged.
Done.
We're gonna fix it.
Bro,
this is your generational run. You can't be frame mogged by fucking some frat leader in Arizona.
It's not gonna happen again.
Yeah?
It's not happening.
We're gonna fix it. We're gonna train.
All right, let's go.
I came straight from work. I had business meetings. We're gonna train.
Just limited. There's limited.
Yeah, we're going to come back to this. That's them meeting again.
I'll tell you that.
Free G line.
It's hiring a lawyer. I'll tell you that.
3 reps and 120 pounds.
Get it.
No.
There you go. Almost.
Fuck.
What was that? 7?
It's hiring a lawyer.
He's going to have to train more or get off the crystal meth, I think, because I think he just got himself embarrassed. Is the point?
You know,
for an alpha
you know
male.
what meth does to your muscles? It's atrophying them. Just saying, that's the medical things that it does.
It ain't good. I know that.
Up to everyone. Elon, I know you're trying to go to space to mog people. I get it. That's pretty moggy. I have a base on the moon and you don't. Not gonna lie, that's pretty good. But you could also own part of the brand that's gonna mog everyone forever. We can put it into the Neuralinks. Elon, we can put it into the Neuralinks. So when people get the Neuralink installed, it just repeats inside their mind over and over again. But
He's talking about setting up a brand of clothing for Clavicular called Mogged by Clavicular.
buy a t-shirt until they either blow their fucking brains out or buy one. Think how much money we'll make. We can put it in the Teslas. Like the full self-driving only works if you're wearing a Mogged by Clav t-shirt. It detects you with a camera, and if you're not wearing the right t-shirt, it doesn't work. We can link you with your entire ecosystem of products. Elon, Elon, I know you know a little bit about business. I'm talking business now. This is how we're going to make a bunch of fucking money.
Okay.
Oh man. But here's the okay, let's see if I can find the probably the most important clip that we have of these two. I think it's right up here near the top.
You know, at this rate, I prefer the Jake Paul strategy to look maxing.
Okay.
Mostly the jaw.
So there are words of wisdom in here coming from a guy who I think is also a really bad role model for young men today, Andrew Tate. I think the two of these guys together are pretty much everything that I hope my son is not.
The Statue of Liberty is there, and it's supposed to symbolize freedom and hope and liberty for all. But as you learned in Arizona, to a lesser extent to what I learned in Romania, is that none of us have any fucking freedom, and that we're all stuck inside of the matrix, and that even if you're the president of the United States, you're arguing with some fucking senator or some stupid bitch in Congress, you have media insulting you. Even if you're the president, you can't really escape the matrix. Perhaps the only way to truthfully escape the matrix is to live unapologetically, be the person you want to be, say what you want to say, and not give a fuck about the consequences. And I hope on this journey that you're on, when it goes right, when it goes wrong, whatever, if anything bad happens to you, heaven forbid, you end up in a cell or whatever else, or the internet turns on you or whatever bad happens, I hope you sit there and go, I was real. I was me. I said what I meant what I said, and that's how I escaped the matrix. I don't give a fuck what happens. Because truthfully, you've only really escaped when you're just as happy in jail as you are here. That's the only way to escape the matrix. Buying a Lambo, buying a Rolex, all that shit, that doesn't escape the matrix. You escape when your mind is free. And for your mind to be free, you must be zen. I was just as happy in jail as I am here. That's what you're going to learn on this journey, Clav. Because it's actually going to be quite exciting for you. It's going to be a roller coaster. I'm watching your journey closely. I lived it. And I see it coming for you, sir. It's going to be you're going to have a great fucking time.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I already am. So we'll see what happens from here. But it seems like it's only going up, you know, headline after headline. So it's only up, you know. Just difficult shit to navigate, you know, especially being so young. It's true.
By the world. at this young age. Nice message. I mean, at a point, Tate was right. I mean, it's true that it's gonna be a nice world. It's gonna be fun for him and all that. He can say whatever he wants, but being unapologetic, this is where I draw a line here.
That's what I said a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I made note of that word, unapologetic, and
Hmm.
I think it's a mistake. If you make a mistake, if you hurt someone, if you do something wrong, I think it's I think the right thing to do is to apologize so you can move forward and try to make amends for what you've done wrong.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I don't think it makes you any less of a man. It makes you more of a man. But the message from Tate to this young guy is just be who you are and say what you mean and mean what you say, whatever the hell that means. When you are clearly not living in reality, you're living in a social media reality show, which is a show. And so your reality is being shaped by the medium and the environment you're placing yourself in, and everything you are doing becomes a performance, which is not real. It's all being influenced by the show itself. And so there's nothing real about it at all. And then he's saying, shouldn't care what the consequences of that are. You just say it and don't ever apologize for it. Again,
No.
I think that's really actually bad advice. And you have to be just as happy in jail. I understand there where your mind, you need to be able to free your mind, which is something that, there are stories of that, of people going through that when they've been in prison or in concentration camps, and freeing your mind so that regardless of where you are, you can always find a form of freedom in your own mind. And I totally get that. You don't have to live someone else's reality, even if you are in prison, but because they can't force you to think a particular thing. But when you are self-enslaved by creating an environment where your actions, every aspect of your being is shaped by the performance, then the character overtakes the real person. And
Yeah.
you're no longer who you are. You become what you have created, which is a construct of yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You become the monster you always didn't want it to become.
Or you just become a caricature of yourself. You're not the real you. He's
Only
no
a shell.
longer, what's his name, Braden Peters?
Yeah.
He's not Braden Peters anymore. He's basically has a split personality, a split reality, and he's living this reality, but it's not who he is as a person. In deep down inside, my guess is he might actually be a nice guy. He might be regretting a lot of these terrible things that he's doing. He might be regretting a lot of the terrible behavior he's engaging in, but it's getting him clicks. He's being rewarded for it, so he continues.
I don't know if he is really getting the importance and the consequences of what he does sometimes. I'm asking myself that question, if he does reflect on some of his action.
And that's a big part of the problem is there's no acceptance of personal responsibility with regard to your responsibility to others in this scenario. So as he is engaging in this bad behavior, he maybe doesn't realize that to the full extent that he needs to, that his behavior is influencing the behaviors of other people, and he's promoting an unhealthy lifestyle that in the end may leave people with heart problems because of the steroids, cancer, shortened lifespans, maybe disfigurement if they actually smash themselves in the face with a hammer. If someone with a mental or psychological deficiency actually is watching his content and they take it to heart or believe what he's saying and they smash
Mhm.
themselves in the face with a hammer, then I wonder, are you taking personal responsibility for that? Maybe this person should be. And more than that, maybe Elon Musk and these other social media platform owners need to be saddled with more responsibility in this regard too, because through their algorithms, they are promoting this. They are, in a way, contributing to the harm, the self-inflicted harm that this young man is subjecting himself to, and at the same time is being rewarded for. And so you have the Pavlov's dog scenario here, where every time he does something more extreme, they feed him another treat in order to reinforce the bad behavior and get him to be even more extreme. And he's not even realizing that this is what they're doing. That the more extreme he becomes, the more clicks he gets, the more views, the more money, and it keeps on going and going and going. And being young, he doesn't realize that at some point, this train is going to run off the tracks and it's going to turn into a train wreck, not just a car crash. And he won't want it to stop. So he'll look for a way to keep it going. And this is usually what ends up happening and
Mhm.
to celebrities, not just today, but we've seen this kind of thing in the past. It's just amplified more. It's more concentrated and amplified because of the way social media works, and it's so powerful. I see pain, suffering. I see suffering, and I see a tragic end coming. I just see darkness ahead. I'm sorry to say, I don't.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What is the difference between Clavicular and, say, Jake Paul, for example? Because in a way, you got the sport in Jake Paul's, right? You got the sport persona and all that. But at the same time, I mean, who really in the sport started to become like a influencer at the same time and start to promote like stuff like that? Because Jake Paul does some stuff around like nobody would do and promoting about the same thing by accepting punches in his face. It's maximizing his look in a way that, I mean, no, maybe not. But what I mean by that is that you have that influence going on, which, I mean, it's just visualization of bad behavior and just validation of bad behavior.
Well, yeah, he's just like I said, he's being rewarded for bad
Hmm.
behavior, right?
That's it.
And that's what it is. Let's take a little break. We'll come back on the other side. There's a lot more to share, and we're going to expand this conversation out beyond the clavicular Andrew Tate engagement and start looking at what else is going on in today's top news stories. And we'll also look at the social media ecosystem and what I'm doing personally to try to raise the standard for this platform and myself. Don't go away.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow, maybe too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity, the Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. It custom shelves for your books or your tech. Cozy space for your treasures to protect. Built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations. Proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea and exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
All right, let's bring Ian back in from Montreal, our French connection. Okay. So just bring us back and just give us kind of a recap or some thoughts on the clavicular Andrew Tate thing.
Well, I'm going to say this. We are seeing basically the new culture of, how can I put that? Being a piece of wax, and the validation of all that is, how can I put that? Something that should not be. And between you and I, we don't see enough accountability, I think, in all that. Is that fair? Because, okay, what we have seen, and I think you wanted to go toward the Tumbler Ridge situation that happened, and probably come back on this one at some point. You see, there's, I think, probably a link between the two.
There is. There is definitely, and maybe I can grab this this story thread and push it through the eye of the needle here to explain.
Go ahead.
It's about it's the bearded lady stuff. It's the prejudice stuff. It's the hypocrisy stuff. It's the double standard stuff. All of this comes together through these stories because Clavicular is in himself very much the same as some of as people who would you might describe as transgender. And there are different, kinds of transgenderism, I guess. People who fully transition, people who don't, people, men who just dress as women. I think there are women who dress like men that are just more easily accepted into society because women wearing men's clothes are not stigmatized nearly as much because women wear men's clothes all the time. And so if you just wear men's clothes all the time because you're a woman who thinks you're a man, you're probably not noticed as much, or maybe depending on the degree to which you express yourself that way.
Yeah, what some would describe as tomboy.
Yeah, right. And so I don't sit here tonight. I try not to be judgmental on this subject in many regards, but because people have beliefs about the way about other people's beliefs. This is a field filled with landmines. This is also about social standards, what people have set as the social ideals or what is acceptable within our society. Much of it is framed by religion, cultures. I mentioned last night that, different cultures have different practices when it comes to body adornment. Let me just show you. Let me show you some images of what I'm talking about here. Africa, neck stretching. Okay, so to people who live in these communities, this is very, what do you say? Oops, normal, right? In order to make your neck really, really long. In some Asian cultures, I think in Japan, they would wrap women's feet to keep them very, very small to the point where they have trouble walking.
Yep.
Because they saw that as beautiful.
In China too, actually.
Yep.
So
if you see someone walking, I don't see anybody in my community with any kind of body adornment like that, or no neck stretching things here. But this been around a long time.
The Mayans was using, I don't remember what was they were doing. I think they were compressing the skull to elongate the back of the skull.
So this is where I see the hypocrisy, because you have people criticizing people for being transgender, which is an issue that is front and center because in the Tumbler Ridge school shooting, and people are saying that's a form of mental illness. Some people are saying that. Let's just get cut right to the chase. That's what they're getting at. They're saying anybody who's transgender is mentally ill and they need help, and that's not normal, right? And so that's the cause of the problem. That's why they've done this, because they're transgender. I would not be so quick to judge that way. I don't think that everybody who's transgender goes out and commits acts of violence like that. But you have people who believe that, and you also have some social media. Well, you have some media out there promoting basically that idea and backing it up with, or wrapping it in a narrative that includes religious elements.
Yeah.
I received an email from a prominent, I'll say political activist today as a promotional thing, mentioning the word God right in their arguments with regard to all of this surrounding the Tumbler Ridge school shootings. But is that really, the people criticizing that or looking at it through that lens are also the same people who have no problem with Pamela Anderson, who had breast implants, is married to a very influential conservative entertainer, Kid Rock. And then later, Pamela Anderson, who you mentioned last night as being one of those ideal goddesses in our media, that's like a Marilyn Monroe. Pamela Anderson was a Marilyn Monroe of her time, of her generation, right? But that involved breast implants, body adornment, tons of makeup, hair a particular way, a body shape, the all of the whole package. So she was
the blonde, the
bombshell.
beautiful blonde bombshell image.
But where is Pamela Anderson today? Well, she has had her breast implants removed. Now she goes around. She doesn't wear any makeup at all. She's promoting a different thing altogether, which is just my natural beauty, what it is, just take me the way I am. She wouldn't be able to do that today. She would not be the celebrity she is if she hadn't engaged in that body adornment and that that behavior that was reinforced socially, and she was so that she was rewarded with becoming a celebrity because she fit that cliched playboy image of the blonde bombshell during her generation. Now later she's leveraging that celebrity, that media profile that she has, in order to just, I guess, continue her existence in the way that she maybe has more control over now. Or maybe I'm wondering, is that still actually the real Pamela Anderson, or is this just a reinvented Pamela Anderson character that now meshes in or fits a particular narrative because she's with someone like Kid Rock, and much of the base of support is conservative and would not embrace the Playboy Bunny persona as much at her age. So she's still a product of conventional media and mainstream media and social pressures. So when I'm looking at Clavicular and what he's doing, it's a little bit disturbing. It's a lot disturbing to me, actually, because what he's doing is taking all of these things to a new level. It through looks maxing, taking everything to the extreme, up to and maybe including smashing yourself in the face with a hammer to break your facial bones.
Creating a new cliche.
No, not a new cliche, I don't think, Ian. It's to fit in, it's to promote an existing cliche using a new medium and methods that are modern and taking them to the max through new levels of extremism and promoting all of that online, rekindling a lot of these cliches. What his look is nothing new. In fact, it is something that he's tapped into a subculture here that has a fixation on traits like clavicle width and eugenic ideologies, very Eurocentric in the cliches, the ultimate white male, the Greek god, that kind of look.
The Barbie Ken modification look kind of thing, basically.
Yeah, but and there it is again, right? So, but in order to achieve this look today, what he's saying is it's not about necessarily being natural. Anybody can become, any white person can become an Adonis, or maybe even people of other cultures. I don't know. I should maybe be careful not to overlay the skin color or those ethnic traits onto it. But I think there is an element of that here because it is a cliche. And so what he's saying is you can be this too, but to get there, you might not be born this way, but you can be what you want to be. You can choose what you want to be through facial reconstruction, cosmetic surgery, drugs, and through behavior modification. So you can reshape your entire reality. All you have to do is pay me now, donate, take my course, the clavicular, whatever his program was called, right? 10 easy steps to becoming Adonis. Anyone can do it. And if you believe that, well, then I guess you better get out your wallet. Because
how to become claviculus in 10 step.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there are critics out there who look at or are criticizing looks maxing because they're saying that it actually serves as a gateway to eugenics because it normalizes judging people on unalterable genetics. And this often involves racist undertones. As an example, forums discuss how black genes are nerf, which is a way of saying that it's a disadvantage. That's another word that's there that's floating around out there. One of these new cliched or what do you colloquialisms, I guess, that are new. But they're saying that black genes are nerf in these forums because they make reference to inferior skull shapes, or how non-white people must white max is another phrase that's circulating all around this guy, this Clavicular and his activities. And everything he's doing, frankly, is it ties into a very European, Eurocentric look.
You know what? That also, I mean, there's not only racism, but I think there's a bit of discrimination. Also, I mean, a lot of it. Because look, on one of the clip you showed, okay, it was basically stealing the girlfriend of one guy on social media and goes like, oh, your boyfriend is a retard, just leave him. I'll give you the night of your life, whatever he said. I mean, basically, I mean, look, I'm dyslexic. Sometimes I'm trying to look for my words. Some people call me retard for that, okay, and other insult. I mean, if that's not discrimination, I don't know what that is. And that's basically weaponizing and normalizing that kind of discrimination.
Yeah, and in addition to that, you know, he's also promoting other things that some people connect to white supremacist movements and eugenics movements, where he is promoting hyper masculinity. You know, being an alpha male, which is also what Andrew Tate is advocating. It's like leave the, you know, dominate, leave those cuck beta males behind, just take their women. And as part of that, they're treating women like possessions, like garbage, and the women are lining up for it because that's the thing I know about women. It's they do respond, a lot of them, to abusive behavior because they see the male doing it as being strong. And there's something very primitive in the human mind and the psyche that you can tap into to manipulate a woman that way. That's why these pickup artists, right? The pickup artist courses that were out there, those tap into that. You're not supposed to treat these, what they teach you is don't treat a woman with respect. Essentially is what I've taken away from the little that I know about it. But basically, don't ever play second fiddle to a woman. Don't treat her with respect. Treat her poorly, basically, and she'll come to you. You have to make yourself a prize for the woman to chase. You want the woman to chase you, is what they're told. And that means being an alpha male. It means having a lot of money, projecting an image of being successful, of being strong, completely confident, dominating other men. And if you have this image, even a facade of that, and you're out in a bar like Clavicular, of course he's going to win a lot of women because he's got, you know, his whole crew around him, is the people shooting him. He's a celebrity now. He has people to protect him, bodyguards. He's a celebrity. He appears to have a lot of money, and he's got all these women swooning over him, and women are very competitive in their own right, and they'll compete to get the alpha male. So it just sets up this environment where he just captures a lot of females in his net. So many that he can pick and choose and throw these ones aside, and that's part of human nature too. But everything going on appeals to humans at a base level, and it isn't really healthy. And it's not. These are not about. This is not about healthy relationships.
Well, there's no healthy relationship when you have sex with anybody you want willy-nilly, left and right, and then get TSD or other sexual disease. So that's another topic for another night, but also that's unhealthy. So, meh.
So back to the Tumbler Ridge situation, and the way that ties into the Clavicular Andrew Tate stuff. And I'll just say this: like Andrew Tate, he embarrassed that young guy. He showed what a beta Clavicular is, because he's sitting there giving the young guy advice. He's dominating that kid, and he's out bench pressing him at the gym. He's coming down there to see him. He took over the kid's space for a while, took advantage of him, made him look like he was like the junior disciple, right? The intern. And so he came out dominant there. It's like Donald Trump and the way they analyze his handshakes with other world leaders, right? Same sort of thing.
I'll go even deeper and way deeper than that. Aleister Crowley and what he did with his cults and the disciple that he had back then.
Well, I kind of want to move on to this Tumbler Ridge situation again. And specifically, I want to address standards, because everything we've been talking about so far tonight is about standards in media, and I think we're on a slippery slope, a slope of deterioration. I think we're in dangerous territory.
Yes, because
the standards have gone right out the window because of social media. It's and it ties right into what's happened out in Tumbler Ridge, specifically with the way media has handled this story and the way that they handled the identification of the suspect early on during coverage of the story, and the victims as well. And the reason I wanted to talk about this tonight was because I've seen some criticisms leveled at mainstream media by independent media outlets, one in particular. I'm not sure if I want to mention names, suggesting that mainstream media didn't name the suspect quickly enough because they were trying to hide something. The allegation being that there's like a conspiratorial element to this, or a hidden agenda that is out in plain sight, in that they didn't want to say that the shooter was transgender, that they didn't want to name the person because they have a particular bias. And I'll put it to I want, maybe I don't know if I should mention the media outlet or not, because I don't see, it's the opposite. And people will have a hard time understanding where I'm coming from on this, maybe, unless I really thoroughly explain this. What I've learned is a lot of these independent outlets are flipping reality upside down on us. And it's taken me a while to really kind of clue in on it, but it's a very slick thing they're doing. And it's not just them, it's political movements, it's politicians. And we're not getting it right. They're not getting it right. Well, they're maybe getting it right for them, but not for society. It's so important. See, when that story broke, I could have been among the first, maybe not the first, but among the first to identify the shooter. But I didn't. Pictures were sent to me of the shooter and another person at the same time. And of course, everybody knows it was Juno News that first reported the name of the shooter. But I did not follow suit, and I did not name the name, even after it was out through Juno News. And I'll tell you why. It's about standards.
Yep.
And it's about the public interest, the true public interest. Juno News will argue, I think, that they were serving the public interest by sharing the information, by putting the name of the shooter out early, before police released it. And I said, no, we need to wait. That's generally been my policy. That's the way I've always been taught to do it, is to wait for confirmation. You need real confirmation. Unless there's some compelling reason in the public interest to put it out earlier, you wait, because you need to. It's not just about the public interest. It's also about the needs of the families, the victims, and even the families of the perpetrator or the shooter, because often the families are as much victims in a crime like this as the families of the victims. So you need to be sensitive to all of those things. You need to understand that it can take time for positive identifications on victims, and it can take time to locate relatives, next of kin, to notify all of them. And there can be confusion, as there was surrounding the identity of someone involved in a crime like this, where in this particular case, there was confusion surrounding the name of the shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason why a big red flag went up for me, and I did not immediately post photos. I didn't go with a name. I just kept saying, no, we're going to wait. We're going to wait, because you should always strive to be, well, first whenever possible, but accurate without exception. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Well, I did see a conservative, I'd say a careless social media influencer on the conservative side who got burned because they got a photo and they posted it, said this was the shooter, and it wasn't the shooter. And that photo's still circulating now. That person could end up sued.
Yep. For defamation.
Yes. And I know everybody knows who I'm talking about. I think. Anybody in the chat know who I'm talking about?
I'm looking.
Yeah.
That's because, well, when you were trained as a journalist, and by my research and your advice when I was doing some journalism too, still feel like a journalist sometimes. It's all about the Trust Act and those kind of things. I mean, in the Canadian Associated Journalists Association, you got that accuracy section that it's all about verified law. You want to be fair, so it's all about fairness, minimizing harms. You don't want to defame people, and you want to be accurate as much as you want, because it's all about moral imperative.
So Juno News came out and they used the name Jesse Strang. But the thing is, I had two names. I had Strang and Van Rootselaar. and I wasn't sure which was accurate, and it didn't make sense to me. And I'm not out in BC, and information was flowing in here, and I'm looking at what they did, and oh, now they've gone with the Strang name. And so I'm like, I'm not reporting on this because I don't know which is true. It's very confusing to me. And until I know for sure, and until I get an actual photograph of this person, I don't know if anything I'm looking at online right now is even real because of AI, because of, repurposed videos. It was very dicey, and I didn't want to get burned. And in order to serve the public interest and respect the families and the relatives, the victims, it was prudent to exercise caution and restraint, because there's always competition in media. If you're first, you score big. Juno News, such as they are, they scored. They got a name. They ran with the name. It took off. It went viral. They were mentioned on other media platforms because they were first to get it. So they got attribution for having this name. And so they got this promotion. They got a lot of clicks. They got a lot of views. It helps build their platform because they had this information first, but it wasn't actually the legal name of the shooter. See, this is why it was confusing, because Strang is the mother's maiden name. And then as we came to find out it took about 2 or 3 days to get this information confirmed. But then we found out that the father, the biological father, was estranged from the mother, and so was not involved in the shooter's life. But the legal name for the shooter was Jesse Van Rosselaar. So when the name came out from police, the name used was Van Rosselaar, not Strang. But we know that in the community, people knew him as Jesse Strang, or he used the name Strang because he lived with his mother and was raised by his mother, and his father wasn't really in the picture. But I think on the birth certificate, it says Van Rosselaar. So you see how it can become confusing? So you need to be accurate. And we didn't really know what that was all about until much later. Yep. That shaped much of the coverage surrounding the identity of the shooter and this person's background and so on. And while much has been made of the mainstream media's use or a reluctance to use words like he or this pronoun or that pronoun, there, I think, are legitimate reasons surrounding their choices on the language that they chose to use as well. Much of it framed by the ethical and regulatory guidelines and rules that they are all bound by. And here's my point. Social media outlets like Juno News or Rebel News, or even this platform, I don't belong anymore to the Radio Digital Television News Directors Association. I'm not bound by the ethics guidelines of the Canadian Association of Journalists, nor are any of these other online social media news organizations. They're not bound by any of those rules, regulations, ethics, but mainstream media is still to this day. I had to abide by those rules. And I'll tell you this, I've been saying now for quite a while that I am trying to get back to those standards here on this platform because they serve a purpose. And what I have seen over the past 4 or 5 years is a slippery slide down into a deteriorated state of diminished ethical standards.
Yep.
And it's not serving the public properly anymore. Now, and you see, when an outlet like Juno News leapfrogs over a process, they are putting the concerns or the needs of the victims and the victims' families to the side, saying that's secondary to what they would say is the public interest. The public interest basically being a lot of people want to know about this. Everybody wants to know. So we're going to put it out there. Well, what they're really saying is we want the clicks, we want the ratings, and we want to be first, and nothing's holding us back from doing it. There's going to be no repercussion for doing this. So we're just going to take the risk and put it out there. The only backlash that they can get is if there's some rule they break on YouTube, or if a viewer doesn't like it, the viewer can just not watch them anymore, I guess. But there's no real penalty beyond that. They might have their video taken down off YouTube or something. But mainstream media, when I worked at CTV, I learned that any citizen can file a complaint with the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council. And so this would be a perfect example of the standards that are in place for conventional media.
Yep.
And they're there for a reason. It's to protect the interests of families. They're there for ethical reasons, and they do serve an important purpose. And it makes media accountable to you. It makes the media accountable to the public and to an individual viewer, both, with real consequences if those standards are breached. If a mistake is made, Ian, you as an individual can write a complaint to the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council and say, this media outlet screwed up. What they did was unethical. I want action taken. And it will be reviewed on your behalf, no cost to you. That media outlet can be held accountable. There can be penalties imposed through these different organizations, including through the CRTC. You could see a range of different penalties imposed on a broadcaster, up to and including having a license revoked, a broadcast license.
Yep.
But you don't get that with any of these online outfits. Like, that's not going to happen here. The Canadian Broadcast Standards Council has no say over here. And I don't think that is censorship. I think that's about standards. That's just about rules. And those serve a purpose, because sometimes the public interest is in serving the individual. It is in serving the needs of a mother of a murdered child. It is in the public interest to serve the needs of the individual father of someone who has perpetrated a murder, or a grandmother, or a sister of someone who has lost a brother who has been murdered.
Yep.
So it's not as simple as, I don't give a damn and I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm going with this information right now. And I'm going to put it all out there because a lot of people want to know, and there are a lot of clicks to have to cultivate. I want the ratings. And that's in the public interest because there's high demand for this. Well, just because a lot of people want something doesn't make it right. And in the end, these accusations that media outlets were suppressing the name in order to hide something, I don't buy it, because in the end, everybody used the name. It's actually the opposite. You see, this, in my mind, shows that if you're looking for media outlets that you can trust, sometimes it's the outlets that aren't first. It's the ones that exercise restraint, because those are the outlets that are practicing a higher or aspire to a higher ethical standard and are working within that higher standard.
Yep.
See, the thing is, the truth is, these outlets that are saying that that our media, as they try to tear down our trust in media altogether, they're saying that they aren't meeting the standard, that they aren't meeting the public standard, that they aren't serving the public interest because they're trying to hide information and they're, in a way, lying to us again.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, that's not what happened, in my view, at all. I think there's a bias there. And I think that there is clearly, I think there's a desire to try to avoid violence and to avoid
minimizing harms.
Yeah, they don't want to fuel anger out there that might lead to violence in the streets or violence towards a group of people. So there's a bias that way.
Mm-hmm.
But they never hid anything. All of the information has come out, and they're all running with it, including the use of the word transgender. There are reasons why words were chosen at the time they were chosen. And in the end, it's the outlets that waited, they had nothing to gain. Like, they had everything to gain, just as Juno News did, by going with the information early, but they chose not to. Mm-hmm. Any media outlet would get a lot more views if they went with the name first. It's always the goal. But if you're putting that concern aside in order to protect, in order to comply with the ethical standards that you're bound by because you're a member of the CAJ or the RTDNA or other journalistic associations, right? You've got these standards that you're bound by, and you're saying, wait a minute, this doesn't check this box. No, this is a violation of that standard. No, we can't go with it because of this. And we're looking out for the interests of the victims. So we're going to wait until we get official confirmation from the cops. Yeah. And the cops have their own standards. And I know that they're at odds a lot of the times, always were, even with me. Like, give me the information. I want it, right? They've got their standards that they have to meet too. But in the end, we're all kind of working toward the same thing if we're acting in good faith, which is that we want the best outcome for our communities, our country, for the families, for the victims. And sometimes, the hierarchy of what those concerns are gets inverted a little bit. It's not always just about what the most people want. It's about protecting the most vulnerable people. And in this case, it's the victims. And that's why I didn't go with that information early on, because I'm sitting there saying, who's the most vulnerable? What has my experience in this told me? It's wait, because I need to be right about it. And I don't want some grieving mother or concerned mother to find out that their child has been killed because they're getting this piece of information that allows them to connect a dot. And then they realize what has happened, and they found out because of me in a way that is not appropriate. Mm-hmm. You need to let these things play out in a way that is respectful, compassionate, and you need to put these concerns about clicks, ratings, YouTube revenue, and all of those things aside. And I take exception to what I'm seeing as what I'm realizing now is another episode where this rush for online profit and clicks and views and channel building is being exploited again through vilification and criticism directed at media in general and our institutions and our police in a way that tears down our trust in our institutions and the very things that have given us a stable society, a stable community. And it's being portrayed and conveyed to us in a way where it's flipped upside down so that we're made to think that we're under attack or we're not being served properly by these institutions and even the standards that have been set through time, through experience. Now the message is really, we don't want any standards. Well, they're saying they're not meeting a standard over there. The real messaging is from, I'll say it, just Ezra Levant. What he's really telling you, I'll play it. Because
I got maybe another example for you after, if you want.
Sure. I watched his editorial on this, and I thought, well, that's very clever, but it is not. He's just flipping things upside down. And so I disagree with him. He's welcome to have his opinion on this, and he has lots of them, but this is not positive.
Hey, we're talking about something really dark, but permit me to show you.
Here, I'll show you. In real time, real speed, one time.
2 quick jokes from the late comedian Norm Macdonald. It's a very dry sense of humor. Not everyone gets it, but I think he was sort of a subversive conservative in his own way. Here are 2 jokes, and they're actually in a way structured the identical way. In a way, they're the same joke, and they're making the same point. Here's the first one. Norm delivered it so deadpan that neither of his guests even realized he was joking. It's a 9/11 kind of joke.
Well, I can't say my friend's name, but he said his biggest fear is that ISIS or some terrorist group like that would get a hold of a dirty bomb and explode it over a major city within the United States and kill tens of millions of people. Because then the blowback against innocent Muslims would be absolutely terrible.
Now here's the same sort of joke, but on a smaller scale, talking about the terrible revelations that fellow comedian Bill Cosby had drugged and raped women. Again, not the sort of thing most comedians would joke about, but he's making the same point, isn't he?
Cosby's legacy will be hurt?
Yeah.
You do, huh? I mean, there was a comedian, Patton Oswalt, he told me, I think the worst part of the Cosby thing was the hypocrisy. And I disagreed.
You disagree with that?
Yeah. I thought it was the raping. That's my feeling. Most rapists are hypocrites. You don't meet many go, I like raping and I know it's not politically correct, but by God, people go, well, he's not being a hypocrite, and that's the worst part.
If you missed it, the real problem with ISIS dropping a dirty bomb over New York isn't the political blowback on Muslims, it's that ISIS dropped a dirty bomb over New York. And the real problem with Bill Cosby raping women isn't the hypocrisy, it's the raping. Now, maybe you see a theme here, so let me ask you, and by you, I mean the bulk of the regime media, I don't actually mean you. What do you think is the most important part of the story out of Tumbler Ridge, BC? Is it the mass murder committed by a drugged up psychopath?
Wait a minute. Okay.
Or is it some people call that drugged up psychopath he instead of his chosen pronoun she? What's the real problem here? Watch this extraordinary clip from Sky News. It's a couple minutes long, but you've just got to watch it. I just kept watching and watching and watching.
I'm gonna say something here, Ian. See, the problem out there, the real problem was the mass killing. But Ezra Levant has the same lack of focus or the same misdirected focus as the mainstream media that he's accusing of having a lack of or a misdirected focus. He's just on the other side of the misdirected focus. He's not, this video right here is not about the killings. It's about how the media has covered the killings that he disagrees with, because for him, it's about the transgender issue.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about the killings. Do you understand?
Yeah.
He's doing the exact same thing that he's accusing the other side of doing. Get it? Let's continue.
I kept waiting for the punchline to drop. It never comes. Take a look.
A deadly shooting at a secondary school in a remote part of Canada. It's not what you would expect. The attacker was described as a female in a dress with brown hair. So here's what we know about a tragic day in a place called Tumbler Ridge. It took police 2 minutes to respond to calls from the local high school, but they weren't able to prevent the shooting. Students were barricading themselves in the classrooms using desks and chairs to block the doors. Parents were waiting at the town hall to hear about the fate of their children. There was another shooting in a nearby home with 2 fatalities there, and the police believe this shooting was connected to the school attack. Tumbler Ridge is a small, isolated community in the province of British Columbia, a 13-hour drive northeast of Vancouver. It's close-knit, with a population of just over 2,000 people. And I know what it's like. I grew up in small-town Canada. You greet and chat to everybody you see. Car doors and front doors, they all remain unlocked, and your business tends to be the community's business as well. And that's why I think this will come as such a shock to Canadians. You can see the Premier of British Columbia struggling to find the right words here in front of the cameras.
It's hard to know what to say on a night like tonight. This is the kind of thing that feels like it happens in other places and not close to home in a way that that this feels for so many British Columbians and Canadians.
School shootings are something that happen south of the border in the United States, not in Canada. The last time something like this happened, it was in Montreal. And the gun laws in Canada are tight. You have to do a training course to get a license. And if you own a gun, you have to register it with the police. You can't just walk into Walmart and buy yourself an assault rifle. It doesn't work like that in Canada. The police say the attacker was dead when they found her. She had a self-inflicted wound, and she matched the description given in an earlier police alert. Female, wearing a dress with brown hair. That is extremely unusual. It's rare to have a female attacker.
I think we will struggle to determine the why, but we're going to try and do our best to determine what transpired that day and what led up to this tragic event.
That is a candid assessment from a member of a deeply shocked community.
He literally said it's super rare for women to do a mass shooting. I thought that's exactly where he was going to say, well, this was a man. No, he just said that with a straight face. I guess he's right. It is super rare for a woman to engage in a mass shooting, and it did not happen in Tumbler Ridge, even though he just said it did. What a liar. Is that actually a reporter? So,
see, he's making an issue out of the coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know when that Sky News report came out. So I don't know how much information had actually been released, but I'll say this. I didn't hear the name of the shooter in it. And if the name of the shooter hadn't been what had been released, you can bet that they would have used the name in the report. And if at that point they didn't have the name, then you also could not confirm the gender of the person. Now, I can't say for sure because I don't know what time or day that report from Sky News came out. But you see my point? The media is going to go with whatever information has been released to that point. And just because Juno News might have reported a name, Sky News might not be using it because they don't have official confirmation from police. And if you don't have a name and you don't have confirmation on gender or whatever, then you can't just come out and say that it's a man. They've said it's a woman because the description initially from police was that the description was a woman in a dress. It looked like a woman in a dress. So that's the information that was available at the time. I suppose what we should do, Ian, is let's look online right now and see if Sky News, I don't know if we can find this or not. Can you just, well, I'll do it here. Let's find out if they've changed that wording at all at this point. So my question, I'm going to ask just social AI to do a search here, asking them if Sky News has changed the way they're describing the shooter from female to transgender. So here's what it says. I'll bring up the answer so you can see it online. And here's the answer. And this is on the fly. I didn't go here before the program. This is just me in real time. Yes, there appears to have been a shift in how the shooter in the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting was described, particularly in initial versus later reporting, including by Sky News. The incident involved 18-year-old Jesse Van Root-Salar, who killed 2 family members at home before attacking Tumbler Ridge Secondary School and then dying by suicide. Initial descriptions from police, the shooter was described as a female in a dress with brown hair, which is the point I made. Sky News highlighted this in early coverage, with a reporter noting it was extremely unusual and rare to have a female attacker. And this aligned with the real-time police alert and focused on the observed appearance presentation at the scene. Later identifications from RCMP press conferences, police named the shooter as Jesse Van Root-Salar, stating they were born a biological male, not hiding anything, they just said that, who began transitioning to female about 6 years ago and identified as female both socially and publicly. Media outlets, including Sky News, updated accordingly. Example, one Sky News article explainer referred to the suspect as identifying as female after transitioning while noting the initial female in a dress alert. So, again, I didn't know if they had done this or not, but they did because that's accurate. But it takes time for information to come out and be confirmed. And I do recall the initial police alert stated that the suspect was described as a female in a dress. That's why you got what you got there. So Ezra presenting that information, but that was early on, and now you know why it was presented that way. And you also know now that they changed the wording over time. So this is not, in my view, a fair editorial, because let's see if Ezra acknowledges that they changed their phrasing in time later. Is Ezra being fair?
Someone who reports to you what happened, is that the media, the Latin word for the middle, as in they'll connect you to the information? Are they really giving you the information, or are they doing the complete opposite of reporting, of being the media? Are they trying, in fact, deliberately to obscure information, to hide the truth from you, trying to lie to you? That's what it's called when you spread a falsehood on purpose. It's called.
What do you think Ezra's doing here? Is he being truthful with us?
Not at all. Actually, he's trying to depict the news, who did try to be as accurate as possible. And I mean, look, I think it's a psyops against media in general. I mean, it's true that sometimes media doesn't always have it right, but for once, and we got to think and put in perspective that it was a small community where everyone knows everyone. So you got to take that in count also in some reporting, which is relevant don't.
The lie or disinformation. All the people who tell you about disinformation and fake news and that you can only trust them, they are deliberate liars, aren't they? When it's something they are trying to sell you. We saw this endlessly during COVID, didn't they? And then again during the Israel-Hamas war. And here it is now. You cannot trust institutional journalism. It's just incredible to me.
So you can't trust institutional journalism. And yet, what am I seeing here? I am seeing that the media reports that came out were reflected what police were reporting at the time. Takes time for police to confirm information, right? It takes time for people, for police to get that information out to next of kin. These things take time. The most important thing is that this kind of situation is handled properly, information flows properly, that the interests of the victims and their families are paramount. It's not about, how much demand there is for people who want to see the car wreck. It's about respecting the victims and their families. That's the paramount thing. And making sure that you get it right. So police were doing their due diligence. You're in a small community. They have very limited staff there. They were on site within 2 minutes, and they were dealing with something on a scale that, frankly, a community of that size really is not equipped to deal with. And yet they were doing, I think, a very good job of dealing with a horrific situation until reinforcements could come to help them.
Yeah.
And then you got,
the scale of the victim actually is one thing, because I think it's like it's the worst mass shooting in Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. I think it's the worst mass school shooting. Not, I could be wrong. It's not the worst, not the biggest mass shooting, but I think it's the worst school shooting that we've ever had in the country. Let's let him continue.
You know it's bad, like COVID times, when the regime media spends more time trying to criticize and fact check independent journalists who dare to dissent rather than doing their own.
And he's conflating one thing with another thing. He's always going back to COVID, and that is its own can of worms. And, I have a lot to say about that after having lived through it, as everyone has. But as a journalist, I see it through a particular lens as well. And there are valid criticisms there, but we need to be careful not to exploit things unfairly.
Own journalism. They're spending more effort on anti-journalism than on journalism, trying to undermine alternative sources. Let's go through a gross one. I just saw this in the Toronto Star. I mean, these people are raging that they don't control all information. They're for censorship because they hate when a dissenting point of view is allowed. So let me show you this Toronto Star article. Inflammatory claims about Tumblr Ridge shooter identity surge as elected official claims trans violence. Far-right U.S. commentators, they're the worst, the far-right U.S. commentators, have argued that transgender people commit a disproportionate share of crimes, a claim not borne out by statistics. Well, I tell you, those inflammatory claims, you don't say. As Norm MacDonald might joke if he were around, I thought the mass murdering part was the worst part.
Well, is it, Ezra? I mean, it seems like Ezra is more concerned with the way the media is covering this than he is with the mass shooting, because that's what this whole editorial is about. That's what it's about. And what he's saying here is he's supportive of what Juno News did. He's supportive of, not waiting. He just wants to get the information out. And some of the right wing and left wing U.S. media commentators are pretty toxic. It's terrible down there.
Well, it's a nice segue to that quick example I wanted to give you, because
Can we
Go ahead.
we're only halfway through this, so
Yeah, go ahead.
maybe we better finish this, then we'll come back to that. Is that okay?
All right.
Okay.
So this is by Alex Boyd, a staff reporter for the Toronto Star. The initial alert sent from police to local Tumbler Ridge, BC residents described the suspect as a, quote, female in a dress with brown hair, according to media reports. The unusual wording seemed to trigger speculation about the shooter's gender identity online. I think some people chose to interpret that as a trans person, says Blaine Badiak, a trans woman and conservative political commentator who grew up in Grand Prairie, just across the border in Alberta. Okay, why did they call Blaine Badiak a trans woman, but they didn't use that same descriptor for the shooter? I mean, why did they pretty much disclose that Blaine isn't a real woman, but why did they hide it or abide the hiding of it for the murderer? Police would later say that the shooter was known to them and had previously been apprehended under the Provincial Mental Health Act and hospitalized, quote, in some circumstances. That's incredible. In fact, I saw a report today that police interacted with him and his family, either in person or by phone, 60 times. If that's true, that is shocking. And like I say, police are so afraid of...
Is it true? See, this is another trick that is used by these guys. Is it true? I don't know if that's true. If that's true, but he throws it out there, well, in something as sensitive as this, don't you think that maybe you better check that to make sure it's true? Because there's a lot of stuff out there, photos, stories, videos that are complete fabrications. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Apparently he doesn't either, but he's still using it, knowing full well that just by putting the information out, people will think that it's true. You see how that works?
Yep.
Even misgendering him. Were they also afraid politically to arrest him? Given all his bizarre outbursts and danger, if you're afraid to call a guy he instead of she, you're probably afraid to arrest him. Back to the Star. That should be the focus, said Badiak, who remembers well the scarcity of mental health resources in remote northern resource towns. That we have a mental health crisis on our hands for youth. Okay, are you saying that transgenderism is a mental health crisis or being pumped with drugs or hormones? I'm not sure, but he said it. Back to the story. But online, the shooter's suspected transgender identity was frequently emphasized, even before it was officially confirmed. What does that mean? Something's officially confirmed. Is there an office of confirming things? What independent journalists learned something by researching? I mean, that's how the facts came out. Juno News, our friends over there, they didn't wait until some government office told them they could publish it. They called around and found out, what does it mean, officially confirmed? Do we have to wait for someone official to tell us now it's okay to publish the truth? Is that what the Toronto Star does?
Yeah, actually. It's not that you wait for permission. It's that you wait to be sure. I can't tell you, Ian, how many times I've covered murder stories. Many, many times when you're there on the ground, speaking even to relatives who give you information that appears to be accurate, and it turns out not to be accurate. And so you're allowed, like you can go with information that you pick up independently, but you need to be damn sure that you get it right. And the other reason you wait is because sometimes, quite often in a situation like this, even mentioning the name of the shooter puts additional information out there. If you confirm the name of the shooter, then a victim's family, like a grieving father or mother, can hear that information and then realize that it was their child that was murdered, or their relative or someone, because the two pieces of information intersect and then they realize what has happened. So you need to be careful. in order to be respectful and address the needs of the individual victim, which in this case is paramount. It's not about the paramount concern is not about getting the information out to millions of people who are sitting there waiting and curious because they want to know. First and foremost, you need to be aware of the needs of the victims. That's why you wait. It's not about coming from the Office of Official Release of Information, blah, blah, blah. That's hyperbole. This is about being respectful and responsible and raising the standard of coverage so that you're truly meeting the public interest.
Does any other murderer get that kind of treatment from the media?
Yes, all the time. Yes, every time with me. The whole time I worked in mainstream media, and even now, I try to do that, always. But it's becoming increasingly difficult because of the lack of standards online.
I mean, look at this from the CBC. They're literally using the killer's first name like he's a friend or something. Maybe they're doing that to avoid saying he or she. They're calling him Jesse.
The RCMP say that there had been several mental health related calls to Jesse's home in recent years. The most recent was last May. Police say Jesse had been apprehended for assessment and follow-up related to mental health. The Globe and Mail is reporting Jesse had recently returned from receiving psychiatric care in Prince George and had previously set a fire in the family home. We know Jesse dropped out of school about 4 years ago. Police also told us Jesse began transitioning from male to female about 2 years before that.
Jesse this, Jesse that. It would be like saying Adolf instead of Hitler. Or on a smaller scale, it would be like talking about Paul Bernardo and saying, Paul, and Paul said this, and Paul said that, or Clifford Olson, and Cliff said this. It's so gross. Why are they doing that?
I can give you a couple of reasons why maybe, and I'm not defending it so much as trying to understand it. And I can think of a few reasons. First, the confusion around the name. The second name, Van Rootselaar, difficult to pronounce. And so I think that some people in broadcast media may avoid saying the name for fear of saying it incorrectly. Those would be two of the main reasons to just use the first name. There might be others as well. I think in the way I've been talking about it, I don't think I used the first name exclusively. I think that I was struggling with the last name at times and referring to him as, or her, transgender person, Jesse Van Rootselaar. In fact, I've tried to avoid referring to the shooter as transgender or he or her, just referring to it in a neutral way as the shooter, which is another way to say it. And it is confusing for people. Just because they work at the CBC doesn't mean they're comfortable with any of this either, right? And I think that even mainstream media journalists struggle to find the right words at a time like this, especially when it's dealing with sensitive subject matter and a political hot potato like this as well. I understand the criticism, but I think that there might be a simpler explanation rather than something as inflammatory as what we're hearing here.
Why they're doing that. Back to the Star. Right-wing outlet Juno News ran an interview with the alleged shooter's family member who said the shooter was transgender. The name Juno used was different than the one eventually given by police. Speculation took off from there. Now, I think it's probably fair to call Juno News right-wing, but I think they're pretty mainstream. Like, I think they're sort of Pierre Poilievre right-wing, like 40% of the population right-wing. They're not... wouldn't call them radical. I just wouldn't. I like them. Right wing, but they're not crazy. They're pretty accurate. They're certainly no further out there on the right.
Well,
We'll say depend on the point of view.
I think it depends on the story, and any media outlet can be criticized for sure, but credibility, well, we'll just let that ride.
And the Star is on the left. So Juno News confirmed the facts with the murderer's family. That's called journalisming. But the Star said they were supposed to wait until officials gave the green light to reporters to say that. Why would they wait? Because the Star was waiting for instructions?
No, I just gave you the reasons. I just gave you the reasons. You need to make sure you get it right, and you need to be respectful of the needs of the next of kin.
By the way, Juno confirmed the facts. The murderer, who is legally called Jesse Van Rootselaar, actually went by the family name. There were multiple last names in the family. Went by Jesse Strang,
which just reinforces the point that I made earlier, which tells you why. It gives you another one of the main reasons why many media outlets, including this one, did not go with the name early on, because there were two names, confusion. And with all of the confusion and uncertainty surrounding the situation, and given the current state of chaos on social media, and in the fog of covering this story, and in the interest of being accurate, the prudent thing to do was to wait. Juno News felt comfortable doing what they did, so let them do what they did. But to level this level of criticism at other media outlets who took a more cautious approach to it and suggest that this amounts to essentially lying and hiding things, I think is a step too far, because these media outlets like Sky News and the Toronto Star, which he is directing these criticisms at here right now, saying that they wouldn't refer to the shooter as transgender. That is ultimately not true, because in the end, the Toronto Star also has referred to the shooter as transgender, just not at that point because of the stage, I guess, that they were at in coverage of the story. And I don't know when that editorial was written, let alone published. And if it's an editorial from a guest writer, that's not a reporter on the ground. That is someone who's writing an op-ed. And that could have been written hours or maybe even a day before. I don't know. But there would probably be more of a delay there in publishing that than there would be in getting the breaking news from a journalist at the scene who would be there covering the story on the ground for the Toronto Star. And again, yes, the Toronto Star, traditionally more of a left-leaning newspaper. It's a liberal publication, is primarily, I would say. So there's a bias there, but I don't think they got it wrong. And I don't think they were trying to hide anything. In fact, you can prove otherwise just by looking at the subsequent coverage, where the very language that he's saying, why weren't they using that language? They did. They just waited a little bit longer. Let's finish this off.
So why would the police say, no, it's Jesse Rootselaar when he went by Jesse Strang? I think it's obvious, because Jesse Strang is the name the murderer used with his endless online rants about being transgender. I think the police didn't want people to Google the name he used online, and the Star agrees with that, I guess. They're really mad that Juno News is using.
That's a conspiracy.
There's no proof in there.
No, he's saying that they released the name as Van Rootselaar because they didn't want to use the name Strang, because that's what his persona was online, where everyone would find out that he's transgender. No, they released the name Van Rootselaar because that's his legal name, and they're the cops. And so to do it in a legal way, they release his name as Van Rootselaar because that's what's on his birth certificate. Yep. That is his name. his chosen name. And I think police did acknowledge this. They also acknowledged that he uses the name Strang, but his legal name is Van Rootselaar. And so they released it initially and subsequently and still use the name Van Rootselaar, but they've acknowledged that he uses the name Strang. So again, they're not hiding anything. It was all out there. This is a stretch. Any additional thoughts, Dragon? And I know you wanted to pivot to something
Well,
related.
actually, no, you're totally right. And it's just to, I would say, push the narrative against, I will say, the LGBTQ plus group and try to dehumanize them to a certain
Yeah.
degree, and probably also mental illness, and you know, combine the two together because, like you said earlier, at some point in the program. People always make the reference with LGBTQ being a mental illness thing. So they put the two and two together, kind of thing, right? And for the example I wanted to give you, which ties to it, and little connection probably with Rebel News, which is a pro weapon or a pro NRA. Was it the
Pro gun rights.
pro gun rights and so on. So the other prominent influencer I'm not gonna name did actually on the same day that it was being provided the information that Jesse was into transitioning, so an LGBTQ person, that because of that, and because he was having some meltdown like 2 or 3 years before that, and they took away their his weapon or his rifle, then gave them the rifle back, and if that would have not happened, that person would have not done what he done. Well, that's a good reason for good owners, okay, and legal gun owner to be restricted and have a new list of guns later, probably in the next month to come, as a conspiracy theory or a probable thing to happen, that it's going to trigger new weapon to be considered dangerous and to be taken away from people. So
Well, I do see bias on the mainstream media side. I think their bias is in part because they want to avoid an escalation of violence. They don't want harm to come to a group in our communities or our society. So they don't want to inflame things. And I think that there is a bias toward support for the LGBTQ S plus community. I think there is a bias there. You can support that or not. There's definitely a bias on the rebel media, conservative media, Juno media, alternative media side as well. And I think what that editorial really highlights is that the very thing that he's accusing MSM, mainstream media, of, he's equally guilty of it in that editorial itself, because his focus is not on what the real problem is, as he put it, which is the mass killing. His whole thing is he doesn't like the way it was covered. So, it's like the Norm Macdonald thing. Well, the worst part of the whole Tumbler Ridge shooting was it was the biased reporting. Well, I'm seeing the biased reporting honestly on both sides. More so, honestly, on the rebel media side than on the mainstream media side. It's heavy over there. But the real tragedy and the real concern is the killing itself. And Jesse Van Rootselaar, Jesse Strang, this person should be judged for what this person has done. The concern, the focus should be on the crime. The accountability should rest there. And yes, we should be looking at this in more detail to try to drill down and find out what the true cause of this was, or causes, so that maybe as a society we can address that. But that needs to be done as much as possible in an impartial and unbiased way so that we get to the right destination on this. It shouldn't be framed by religion or politics. If we can help it, we need to look at this objectively and say, what the hell really happened here? What is the problem? I don't know if that's even possible given the environment we're in, because everything is just framed by personal views. I don't know if anyone on this subject right now is objective. I don't know. It's a tragic situation. And here's the thing. See, as much as Ezra here is criticizing mainstream media, do you know why I think it's worse over on the Juno News, Rebel Media, independent media side? It's because even though the Toronto Star has a liberal bias, even though the National Post has more of a conservative bias, the Toronto Sun definitely has a conservative MAGA bias. Mainstream media is still bound by rules and ethics that are not employed at all over through these independent outlets. And so while Ezra is saying these outlets are not serving the public interest, and I think he's sort of suggesting because Rebel Media doesn't belong to the Canadian Association of Journalists. Rebel Media, I don't know what organizations they might belong to, if any, in terms of ethical standards for journalism. I don't know, but certainly not the CAJ. And I don't believe they belong to the RDTNA. So they don't work through those with those standards in place, those rules. And you've heard me say over the last couple of years here that I'm trying to hold myself, bring those standards back here because I've seen the value in them. I certainly saw the value in them while I was working in mainstream media, but I found that as I was working here independently, I was drifting away from them because of the competition from these other independent media outlets where they're getting clicks and views because they report things more quickly. They say things in more sensationalistic ways and in ways that you can't really do that over on mainstream media. And even now, I know that the way that I set up stories, the way I choose thumbnails, I'm much freer and more liberal and take more liberties with that kind of content than I ever would have working in mainstream television because the standards are different over here, but the standards are being lowered every day. And it's because these independent outlets are not following the rules. They're writing new rules, and those rules are that there aren't any rules. So they can do whatever they want, up to and including, and I'm going to just come out and say it, at times some of these outlets lie while they're telling you you can't trust the other media because they're lying to you. And I've been catching them more and more and more in lies and in provocateur journalism, yellow journalism, where they inject themselves into the stories, where they put themselves into confrontational situations so they can portray themselves as victims, and it generates views and donations. These various media outlets, it has become a stock and trade, a way for some of them to survive, prosper, make money, grow channels, get donations, and keep the money flowing. So that also results in a deterioration of standards. And a good friend of mine from afar told me that what we should be doing around here is raise the standard, not the tolerance. And while this might seem counterintuitive, what I'm talking about tonight, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to raise the standard here by imposing more rules on myself. And that's not censorship. That's about quality and serving the public interest. That's not what I just heard in that editorial.
Very true. It's all about the quality, and not only the quality for yourself or anyone else, and provide the best information or whatnot. I mean, everyone's want a quality relationship, whether it's with a friend, with family, and all that. That goes in the same direction too. You know.
I'm just looking in the chat here.
Yeah, me too. there's there's few someone who directed something to me actually, and that's because Catholic Groy Paul FL said, we're not listening to UNCS on everything, and whatever he said earlier said something about uh, our generation has grown soft, and I said something along the way that, well, it's because we have the experience of life, maybe, which the youngster today don't have, and they think have all the solutions. Not yet, guys. We're getting there, though. It's weird.
No, Mr. Groiper, Catholic Groiper. I guess that's really what you're trying to say in your fake name. I ain't taking a back. Says Rick needs to take a back seat. He's part of the old guard. Time for people who aren't 60 plus to take control. Screw you. And no, I'm not taking a back seat to anyone because what I have to offer is decades of experience. I know what I know, and I see what I see, and I am alarmed because what's going on is dangerous.
Yep.
Just because it's new doesn't make it better, and it sure as hell doesn't make it right. And the only way you can have standards is if you have guardrails, rules, and even regulations to hold people responsible, accountable when things don't go right, when mistakes are made. So, yeah, I'm not taking a backseat to anybody. In fact, you can get to the back of the bus.
And he says it's not a fake name. Okay, so my real name is Rising Dragon. My mom probably called me that when I was born and put that in the legal paper. So if I do a killing someday, it's gonna be Rising Dragon did some mass murder on and probably LGBTQ too, because I got a beard and the face of a mug with that.
Yeah. No, I see a lot of traps that people are falling into today. And while it might seem like some of these things are new and these are new approaches, nope, we've been down these roads before. All these mistakes have been made before. It's just that the new generation is not only not being properly educated, they don't know their history, they don't have any experience, and they haven't made the mistakes yet to have learned from them. And I fear that we're going to repeat maybe all of the mistakes of the past in order to relearn them to get back to where we were to begin with. And I hope and pray that we get back to where we need to be so that we have peace, order, and good government again sooner rather than later, because I don't think we have much time left.
Yeah, it's harsh. I will tell you, I mean, I like humanity, but sometimes I lose faith in humanity because of what I see and what I hear online and kind of generally around. Because the world has changed in the last 30 years. And I'm just 45, okay? So I'm giving myself a gap between that to I brought myself a little brain between 0 years and 15.
And the other reason I'm not taking a back seat to anybody is because this new generation needs leadership. They need people with experience to guide this and not exploit it. I'm just doing my bit, sitting in this chair every night. Some things I just know. I don't know a lot about football. Know very little, but I know this stuff. And I see the problems. And we'll take a little break and come back and wrap things up on the other side. Don't go away.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so, just a final word on the way that story was covered by media in general. I think, in summary, what Juno News did by going with the name, I think that's somewhat defensible. You can make arguments as to why you might do that. And no problem, right? Like I personally, that was my choice, the way I chose to cover it. They chose to cover it their way. They had the information they had. They made their decisions. I wasn't comfortable with what I was seeing. I didn't do that. They can defend their position. I don't think that it's a black and white, cut and dried thing. The reason I touched on this tonight is because I did see other streamers making big mistakes, posting photos online that were not accurate. Third, I even received some of those same photos today of the inaccurate person from a political activist who's sending out a mass email with that same picture that is inaccurate. So that shows the impact that can have. And fourth, because I don't think that editorial by Ezra was fair. Because I'm saying, let Juno News defend what they did. There's a degree of defensibility there. But to criticize the other mainstream media and say that they're lying and hiding and making those kinds of allegations, I think that is just too far. Because there's a degree of maliciousness there that I don't think is fair. So I just called that out tonight because I think it needed to be called out and explained. And that's where I'm at with that. Now, talking about other stuff, and this is why media is also on a slippery slide. And it's like these Epstein files, there were more files released overnight, I guess. And I don't know that you'll ever get to the truth on any of this stuff because it is just a flood of information again, 3 million files. And I can't even quite figure out exactly what happened overnight. I just know that you've got this ongoing saga of the Jeffrey Epstein files, another massive trove of documents that is trickling out Uh, and Alex Jones overnight, I guess, coming out and saying this exonerates President Trump. And they've sent a list of 300 politically exposed persons named in the files. But there's such weirdness around all of this that I'm seeing on the one side, Alex Jones reporting that it exonerates Trump. And on the other side, I'm seeing like Midas Touch Network highlighting, I guess, names on the list that include in Pope John Paul II, Janis Joplin, Marilyn Monroe, celebrities who are long dead, were long dead before they could have possibly gone to Epstein Island. So what the hell is that all about? It seems like it's just another exercise in misdirection. And with this such a divide in the coverage, how do you ever get to the truth? So tonight, I'm not going to dig into it too much because I've seen such a huge divide in the way this stuff is covered. I am having trouble figuring out what might be accurate, not accurate. I'm not sure how to cover it in a way that is really even helpful. So have you watched or paid any attention to this overnight, Ian?
Yeah, I did. And I'll say, I mean, it's disturbing because even myself, okay, I used to listen to old school journalism, and it has so much changed that to a certain degree, it's hard to know what's real or truth or not, and make the difference between even what's the human solution behind that. We have lost our humanity, I think.
Just whenever we get into any of this stuff, it they make it, they guarantee that you're never going to find out what the truth is, whether it's the killing of Charlie Kirk or the assassination of John F. Kennedy or 9/11 or whatever it is. It's just a flood of information so that even when the truth is presented to us, we probably will not be willing to accept it. We'll just think that it's a lie. And that's where we're at, I think, with all this Epstein stuff at the moment. We'll continue to look at it, but man, I don't know if any of it is helpful in any way at all anymore.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, news has become sort of it became like a show. It's not just a virtual show. It's all a reality show, like it was back in the 2000 when TV started to change with MTV and all that. I mean, it's a new culture.
It is. And that is exactly the point that we've been making here tonight. Everything has become a show, whether it is the Epstein saga, which both sides are trying to present as a show and spin a narrative. I don't know that any of the players involved at this point are acting in good faith, trying to affect justice. It's more about scoring political points, whether it's even to some degree here in Canada now, this coverage out in Tumbler Ridge, where you see political lines drawn and political lines drawn through MSM and alternative media and just all forms of media, where you can see right from the very beginning, people hopeful that it would be either a white supremacist or a transgender person so that they could score political points with it and use it for political opportunism. I said that from the very beginning. You could see it, like they were just salivating over it. And then when it went that way, they took the ball and ran with it. And then you got, oh, now we got the name of the transgender person. And then all his accusations coming right down to the editorial we saw tonight, or the coverage that we're getting right now of these ICE operations in the US. It's a show for the anti-ICE movement because they're portraying this as something negative. And on the other side, the Trump administration using this as a show to show the public, show their base of support that they're in action and they're taking action against these illegal immigrants as they're characterizing them. Although I'm not sure that all of them are illegal immigrants, and getting people to just become supportive of actions that actually are a violation of due process. But it's a show. And I think that the show itself is bigger than reality. It's probably not as bad on the streets as it appears to be, unless you're right there, and then it's pretty bad.
It's
But
like you have said, they take a small portion of the city, a few blocks,
Yeah.
makes a big, ups with that thing, but on the rest of the city, there's nothing. It's blank. So it's just to make a show with that portion of the city and make it look like it's the whole city who's on fire when it's just 3 blocks away.
Yeah, it is. That's what it comes down to. It's all about the show. That's the bottom line, and that's where we started tonight too, right? Was with Clavicular and Andrew Tate. These guys are characters in a show. They're performing for the cameras. They're actors. It's a reality show.
Mm-hmm.
On every level. And so everything we've talked about here tonight is exactly about that. It is a show. It's all about the show. And I don't know, when you see these Epstein files coming out overnight and these reports that the names, 300 and some names, I guess, released, that include Pope John Paul II, Marilyn Monroe, Janis Joplin, Elvis Presley. Like, what? Elvis Presley? You mean Elvis is still alive? And then I'm seeing reports that Epstein might still be alive, and they're doing a forensic analysis to determine if Epstein is actually still alive.
Did you know Epstein actually is in Israel? Look it up. Look it up. You'll see it. There's some conspiracy theory, and Kim Iverson, I think, ran it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not making it up. Some people did.
Yeah, I know. Like, they're all alive, right? JFK, Charlie, Epstein, Elvis. They're all supposed to be alive still to this day. You heard it on Kim Iverson first, but not here. But over here, of course, we do acknowledge that it's all fake. And with that, we'll see you back here tomorrow night, folks, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the
flip side.
Biden's about, Charlie's alive. Elvis flips burgers on the Lower East Side. 10 Trumps mask up on your phone. Shilling mean coins by remote drone. Graphene needles in your veins. Chemtrail sugar fries your brain. George Floyd's American hologram pie. Don't trust your lying eyes. It's all fake. It's all fake. The moon is a hoax. Give your head a shake. It's all fake. It's all fake. Your mama's a lizard. Your daddy's a snake. Bigfoot codes, the Mossad plan. Flat Earth truckers fighting the man.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.